It defaults to a virtual microphone every time.
Huh.
I don't want. Anyway, hello everyone, and welcome.
Hello.
Here, it's happening. A new campaign.
Yes.
And in high fantasy. Fantasy is the best. I love fantasy. What's your favorite fantasy book?
Are we having trouble hearing, Justin?
Yeah.
Before we jump in.
Your voice is doing some weird in and out stuff.
Johnny
Johnny
also
seems
sounds
very
far
far
away.
from the
Like your
mic.
source is not your mic.
Start, guys.
Start, everybody. Good start. How's that? How
I'm
do I
doing
sound
good.
now?
Good. You're more present.
We also
Johnny's still far away. Johnny lives in the bottom of a barrel right now, clearly. He speaks to us as though from across a distant plane
Perhaps
and is trapped in a
I'm not
box.
sure if we hear
Distant
Nick
realm.
as well.
My computer had switched mic sources. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're great now, Johnny.
So that's
Now
how
we
it's
need
gonna be
Nick.
too, Johnny.
Guys,
I
we
don't-
should just never use Discord again before we go into here.
Jesus Christ.
Nick is gone forever. Nick is panicking. Nick
Nick,
is
did you check your mic source?
doing
It's not
mechanical
gonna be
fixes
a
right now. Nick's just pulling out wrenches.
Welcome to Dustfire troubleshooting.
You know, hey, it's episode what, 0? Or technically episode
Yeah,
1.
technically episode 0.
Depends on how you classify.
This is the moment. This is the moment.
I do
you
not
know?
classify character creation as episode 1, personally.
Yeah. Justin's like, oh, I gotta change the names.
I'm not gonna change the names.
Yeah.
I'll go.
I
in
think
and
I heard
change
a
the names
testing.
later.
Oh, I heard a low.
Kind of. I heard a hello that sounds like it's coming from inside of a case.
Inside of a what?
I think it's
Yeah.
You sound like you're shouting at us from inside a box.
Ah, get me out of the box.
There,
Oh,
we
there you
that
are.
sounds better.
sounds perfect.
Oh, did it just start working?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yes.
Oh, that's frustrating. It literally was the right device. It was through Wavelink. It just was not picking up any audio. I have no idea why. I just unplugged it and then restarted Wavelink, and everything was fine. Or,
There you
I feel like
Mm,
StreamYard
that's true.
knows this is like the start of a new campaign. So like, let's really just screw
Let's
with them.
let's
you know?
really fuck with that.
Yeah.
You know what these guys need? More things in their life.
More stress.
Let's be humbled.
Let's
Maybe
raise their
more
cortisol
humble.
levels.
Justin, you kind of dropped
Yes.
out, so I don't know exactly what you were asking, but you asked like what our favorite fantasy, and then I think you
Book.
you might have said
Book.
book,
Movie. Yeah.
Mm.
It stopped
Bedroom.
at fantasy, and I was going to say like respectable and honorable leadership, but
Sure. Yeah.
whatever.
Sexual fantasy.
My favorite fantasy, the American Dream.
Your
gosh.
favorite fantasy, comma, sexual.
Oh, well, I've
Oh.
got one where
Oh,
absolutely
if we're-
covered in bacon grease. And
No.
oh my god.
No more.
Don't let your dreams be means. Just put it out there.
oh,
But
man.
seriously,
No,
what are your favorite fantasy books, movies?
this is really difficult for me because if you define like there my favorite in terms of like the one I think I like the best,
Mm.
it's a moving target.
Sure.
If it's in terms of what like world I revisit the most is probably Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
If you want to define it as what book or property has had like the most impact on me like as a person, it's probably a tie between Chronicles of Narnia and Lord of the Rings. But like I also really love The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Like I reread that book, just the first one. The second one's only okay, but I reread the first one almost as much as I've read The Lord of the Rings, which is a lot. But then The Wheel of Time is up there. The Witcher's really good.
There's a lot of great fantasy out there. There's a lot of
Yeah.
great fantasy out there.
All right, I'm gonna go a little esoteric because it's very near and dear to my family. There's a series, it's called by a man called David Eddings, the Belgariad, and there's a sequel series called The Memorian. There's some companion books and whatnot. Those books were like, I mean, they were just like so important to my family for some reason. My mom loved them.
Nice.
My brothers and I, they were like the first like chapter books we read, and we started reading really early because, you know, your older brother and your mom are like, this guy like threw fire and this is crazy, and then you're like, well, I want to read that. So, you know, we all learned to read pretty young just because we wanted to enjoy that. And, you know, my mom would like reference those characters and like, well, would Dernick do that in this situation? And it's like, well, no, you do the right thing. And so, yeah, that series is very, very important to me.
I love that. That's so sweet.
Yeah. That's really nice. I'm looking forward to being able to share like some of my favorite fantasy books with my kids.
I am also, dude. I'm very excited.
I have to hold myself back because there's also that part of me that's like, and if he doesn't like fantasy, that would be okay. It would be okay.
Yeah.
I would still, I would still love him.
Curb the enthusiasm.
even if he doesn't like fantasy novels as much as I do.
He ends up being like an athlete, like
nonfiction.
He ends up in like
self-help books.
I take exception to that because I was on the football team and I just was reading when I was on the bench, not like, you know, I was on offense, and so when defense was out there, you know, I was one of the rare high schoolers who didn't have to play two positions. I only played wide receiver, and when defense was on the field, I was reading books.
And we have Nick here too. Nick played football also.
Yeah, and I only played defense, and they didn't let me read books on the field. So,
but would you have?
I would have.
Okay,
if I could have. Oh man, losers.
I feel like my answer is like similar to Nick's. This isn't one that's like, wow, this is one of the best fantasy series you should ever read. But the Aragon series,
oh yeah,
like just hit me like right at the right time.
Christopher Paolini.
Yeah, and they're not like, they're nothing incredible. You know what I mean? Like they're fine. They're good books.
He was like 8 years old. He was like 4 when he wrote those.
Okay,
He was 17.
He was, but still, like that's still impressive.
It is still impressive. It's not 4.
It's not 4.
It is impressive.
It was like,
especially when you
just
consider
one
that the
when he
average
wrote
author
those.
doesn't get published until they're 35.
It's true.
Right, yeah.
No, it's
also-
very impressive, and they're good books. But that's just like they hit me at the right time. Like
He's very close in age to us as well, which I think was like
Yes.
more inspiring to me
Yeah.
even than the story itself.
Mhm.
Because it
Mhm.
was
That's
like,
fair.
that's really cool. Like this guy is not much older than me, and he's like writing
Yeah.
these stories that,
I mean, it's
Also-
got classic.
while
fantasy
pretty
issues.
derivative, are
It's
still
got, it's got classic fantasy issues too, where the first book is like, this is really good, and then as you keep
No,
going,
they were
you're like,
they were
this
great
is,
books.
This is less good.
Yeah, but here's the thing. One, if you enjoyed reading it, you don't need to defend enjoying it.
No,
Let me
it's
just put
true.
that out
No.
there. And
I
so,
did
like,
enjoy reading it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
so I
like,
think you could
fucking
leave it at that. You don't
13
need to
when I read it.
defend. We're all fantasy nerds here. I don't think you need to defend enjoying
It's
a
true.
book of any quality to any
It's
of
true.
us. We all
The
have
other
those
thing
books
is,
that we
though-
might not cry from the rooftops that we love, but we do.
but because we are fantasy nerds, we know how some fantasy nerds are, and thus we
That's true, too.
instantaneously
it's true. It's true. I have
jump
to be
into
like,
like, hey,
wait, hear me out. Hear me out.
everybody chill.
It's mostly nostalgic.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's fair.
But anyway,
What about you,
get to
Steve?
write our own-
Danny, Steve, you've never read fantasy in your entire life.
I never
Yeah,
did.
you can't read.
Yeah, Danny can't read. So, Danny, your favorite fantasy movie, I guess.
Found this out last Friday.
No, I was gonna say you guys all have your nostalgic books and whatever the fuck's not, you know. Oh, I read. I'm so cool. I personally have been really enjoying just diving in to FromSoft lore through the funnel of Vati Vidya. Personally, that is it's honestly it's great.
I love that for you, Danny.
No, I'm glad you enjoy that, man. Those there is a lot more story to those games than people realize, but I think there's also a lot in Vati's videos that he just kind of puts in there, you know? Like he just sometimes there's a lot of reaching to fill in the gaps. So that's okay.
But he has a pretty voice, so I believe all
He does. It's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's very hard for me. I'm always the person who struggles with any, like, what's your favorite anything or top 5 anything, artist, musician, song, whatever. But and that also to say, I will probably have some other answer that emerges halfway into the series, and I'm like, oh, why didn't I think? And then I'll share about that at some point.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, for me,
Yeah.
some of the top of mind ones that are deeply enjoyable are like The Witcher, for sure. Like that whole world compels me so much. And then thanks to Johnny, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang.
I've heard those are so good.
Yeah.
I've heard those
So-
are
Very,
really good.
very good.
I mean, those ones
Very-
are probably
Is that about
More
competitive
than
for sure.
anything else we've mentioned so far, content warning. If you're in the audience and you think about reading any of these
Oh, yeah.
books, let me
Yeah.
throw out the Poppy War can be a difficult read
Mm.
in a way that's like
Brutal.
important, but it's
Mm.
brutal. It's
Is it
a lot of it
based
is
on the
based off
remorse?
of the rape of Nanking.
Oh,
And so-
that's even worse. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutally hard.
Yeah, I'll read that.
Okay,
It's like, yeah,
let us know how you like it.
That's why-
R.F. Kuang's writing, I find very good. Yeah.
that's why I liked
Yes.
Nick's answer of like going back to like the first fantasy series that really gripped you. Because like I'm with Steve, like, and Johnny. Like my favorite fantasy series changes constantly. Like I'm trying to get through Brandon Sanderson's not Mistborn, the other one. Why am I blanking? on the name?
Warbreaker,
the Stormlight Archive.
Stormlight.
The Stormlight Archives, yes. Great.
Yeah, I
They're
just
incredible.
finished the 5th book. It's so good. Yeah.
They're incredible. But like, yeah, there's something about that first fantasy series that you read that like gets you into fantasy that like
Yeah.
will stay with
You know
you.
what,
forever.
to Danny's point too, because whenever I hear fantasy, my brain always goes to books. But there is more fantasy out there than books, and I got to shout out. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Arcane, because that is like my favorite show of all time.
So good.
Very good.
So good.
Very good.
I'm still behind on season 2.
Yeah, me too.
So-
Nick.
I'm starting to feel bad
it's-
about it.
It's you don't need to feel bad, but it's really good.
I'm so excited for you to watch it, so then I can just like.
Yeah,
spew
he's gonna call me
tears
and
onto
not
you.
stop talking for an hour or two.
Unlike the first season, where like the first 3 episodes are like it. I mean, it needs to be in the first season. It really gets going. Second season, the first 3 episodes are like the ones that you need to get past to really get to the good stuff.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah,
I think we could talk about fantasy all day long. I
I
know.
think we're going to.
we're gonna.
Let's make some.
So
Is that a
instead of
challenge?
talking about other fantasy, let's make our own fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am not jamming this campaign, which I'm kind of
Oh.
excited about.
What?
How dare you?
I know, it's crazy. But I think the plan is for me to be back after this campaign. That's the plan
Mhm.
currently. But for now, I just get to sit back and watch Johnny create a compelling
world. So excited.
Johnny,
nervous. I think we're gonna end the episode here, guys. We'll come back after my nerves settle.
See you, everyone. See you next week.
Thanks for joining
good
us.
job, everybody.
No, so we are going to be playing a game called Heroes by Hearthlight. And let me pull up some information for you guys here real quick, just so that I can shout out who it's by for the audience. So this is a Forged in the Dark game by Mitch Shiwal. I'm not really entirely sure how to pronounce his last name, but maybe somebody could throw that in the Twitch chat too, so people have a spelling if they want it. But yeah, so this is a fantasy game. So we're playing in like a high fantasy sort of setting, and there's not a lot I can tell you about the world yet because we haven't created it. And so that's what we're about to do. We're about to create the world, and so I'm going to walk us all through creating our world and then creating our characters. And so let's just jump right into it, right?
And do we think that Mitch is they them pronouns?
I
Justin?
believe so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
He, they is fine.
He they. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's
All
jump
right.
in.
So we agreed off air to start with the book actually has you do character creation and then realm creation, but we're gonna flip the order here because we all want to have a little bit of knowledge of what the world looks like before we build our characters. And so we're gonna start with realm creation. And so we're gonna do a couple of things here. We're gonna kind of decide on what our settlement looks like. We're gonna, which is our our party's base of operations. We're going to determine what the world outside of our settlement looks like, what kinds of creatures and enemies exist in the world outside. And we're also going to do a little bit of map making together. And so I've got some paper here, and I'm going to kind of take the lead on making a really loose map for us. And then I'm going to go in digitally later this week after we've done this session and build like a real map for us. So we have a visual of what our world looks like.
And we'll share that on our Discord and our socials.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Figure it out.
Yeah. All right. So there's a couple of things here. Let me just make sure I've got our starting spot right here. So we're going to, like I said, we're going to kind of go out of order a little bit. So we are not going to create our settlement itself yet, and we're not going to create our characters. We're going to skip to the world outside of our settlement. And so there are 4 major regions surrounding our settlement, and these are where our party spends most of their time adventuring. And so we're going to determine what kinds of foes we find in the world outside. So we're going to take turns rolling dice and letting the dice tell us what exists in the world. And so then when it's your turn to roll the dice, you get to fill in kind of some of the blanks of like aesthetics and the feeling and kind of the vibe that we get from these different parts of the realm. And then we'll also make it a conversation, and we'll kind of like have some free-flowing ideas and discussion about those things. And we're going to make this world our own, but we're going to make it together. All right, guys? So
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to have us start. Like I said, there's 4 regions outside of our settlement, and it's perfect because we have 4 players. So each of you is going to get to roll a region. And so I'm just going to have you go in the order that I'm looking at you. So Justin, why don't you go ahead and roll for our first region?
Am I rolling the environment it is?
Yes, you are rolling 1d6, and that is going to determine whether we are looking out. I'll let the audience know. We're determining each region can be either forest, mountain, wetland, ruins, coastal, or grasslands.
I rolled grasslands.
Amazing. And I think I'll let you decide. We have our regions, as I kind of have it right now, the regions exist to the north, south, east, and west of our settlement. What direction are the grasslands?
I am picturing them to the west.
Amazing. All right, so we have grasslands to the west, and give me a couple of like adjectives, and everybody else feel free to like chime in if you have ideas as well here. But starting with Justin, let's flesh out these grasslands a little bit. Don't worry about what kinds of creatures exist there or what foes might be there, but like tell me a little bit about the grasslands.
Just like the vibe. Yeah, I think they're very serene. Like I'm picturing like a lot of like tall plants. You know what I mean? Like almost like wheat-esque plants. So like a lot of the hills and whatnot, a lot of people are like waist high when they're walking. Grasslands.
Would it be cool if we have like a lot of rolling hills?
Ooh, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm picturing rolling hills. I don't know if that was just like assumed, but I'm picturing like really windy.
Yep. Same.
Cool. Yeah, so that tells me too, like I think if we're picturing the grasslands, if there's a lot of wind, that means that regardless of what might exist in the other regions, the grasslands themselves are not directly surrounded by mountains. There's not any mountains in that direction for a while.
Correct, yeah, because nothing is stopping the wind from getting there. Absolutely.
Cool.
Can I
Anybody-
suggest something that may counter the sereneness or at least qualify it slightly? I don't know if this is like a suggestion thing and Justin like has control or if we have mutual equal control.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
let's
kind of
hear
a mutual thing. Let's hear your idea and we'll discuss.
So I'm kind of thinking about, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Badlands National Park.
I have not.
Similar terrain. So you get this really soft kind of composite of things that easily erode away if you get heavy rain or that sort of stuff. And it cuts out these like dramatic sudden ravines. And you have like soft earth, especially at the edges of things. And so like edges of cliffs are very dangerous because you could easily just have a chunk of it just slide off, just like sloughed. And like I just think it'd be cool if the grassland is interspersed with patches of ravine, and that it's possible that maybe things could live down in the ravines. I don't know. I just think it adds a cool texture. It's not like you couldn't cross the grasslands or anything like that, but you would just have to be mindful of patches of that.
Yeah, I'm like picturing like green like grasslands, sort of like cut with like that like orange like canyon kind of color. I mean that's what I'm thinking of from what you're describing.
Justin doesn't like it based on his face, and I'm okay with pushback.
I'm
we
just
can
trying
abandon it.
It's just not what I think of when I think of grasslands.
It's not a usual combination.
It's not.
Yeah.
It almost looks. I just googled it. It looks more like a desert to me.
Badlands is desert. Yeah. Yeah. It's okay if you don't like it.
I personally like, because Johnny just said to describe the area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is serene. Which I think will be, without thinking about enemies, whatever the enemies are, I think will be an interesting juxtaposition to the sereneness of the grasslands, whatever enemy it is.
You like the land itself to be simple and straightforward and more beautiful in this way. I'm fine with that.
I'm picturing like a Miyazaki movie. Like a Miyazaki movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I dig it. I respect the space. Yeah. I'll put my ravine somewhere. Don't worry.
Do we think that there are at least one, maybe a few rivers kind of interposing the grasslands?
Oh, for sure. There's
sounds nice. Shallow rivers, probably. Like nothing like crazy or hard to cross.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing like the river that they have to cross, which fits your description in the Two Towers when they're on their way to Helm's Deep. They're like crossing that shallow river on the way to.
Exactly.
Could just wade through.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything that they want to add or pitch for the grasslands?
Is it okay? I don't know how much I'm imposing on Justin's space in this.
It's our space.
I just feel like to add one very distinctive visual marker in the midst of the grassland would be really interesting, whether it's like an obelisk or a gigantic unique tree that has like a distinctive like purple leafing, or like just something like that, to like a piece of character. It's like, wow, this is the centerpiece of this place. Justin?
As you were talking, I just was like, oh, it would be cool if there were like ruins of like an ancient civilization, like poking out the ground, like covered in moss, covered in grass, like crumbled, sinking. Who knows how long
in the center, like the dead center of the grasslands.
It could be there could be like a big place in the dead center of the grasslands, but I'm also thinking like littered throughout, like you can see a giant tower like miles.
I was going to ask, can there be something tall? I think that's what was part of the concept cluster for me. Is like it's distinctive even from a distance. You can use it to gauge how far into the grassland you are. You see that tower.
100%.
That's all you have.
Yeah.
Something that is just like an image to me that seems so cool that obviously the people in this world would never be able to see is that like if you looked at the grasslands from like a satellite imagery, you have that like ruin in the center, even like the grassy like environment just looks like splayed out from there. Very cool.
Oh no, they have satellites.
Okay, never mind.
We'll let Johnny decide if they have satellites.
They can't access them, but they do.
But they have them.
They're up there. We just don't know what they are.
Lots of planets have satellites. It's just anything that orbits it.
The moon is a satellite.
On, science man.
It is. It literally is.
You guys, cool. Science people are the worst.
Yeah, always ruin our fantasy with their logic.
All right, let's move on to the next area. So, Danny, why don't you go ahead and roll 1d6 for us? If you did.
1.
All right, so that's forest. So now you get to decide, is that forest to the north, east, or south of our settlement?
So where did Justin say the grasslands?
To the west.
To the west, which is why I didn't list it.
West. Okay. I think the south makes sense.
South? Cool. All right, got forest to the south. And tell us a little bit about this forest. Again, don't worry about describing any sort of wildlife or creatures or anything like that.
Yeah. What if this is something I thought of with Steve's suggestion. I don't know if he was going to use this for whatever he rolls, but what if
take it away?
This might be crazy. Let me know if you hate this, all right? I imagine
Okay.
like, so it's south of, so it's kind of like neighboring the grasslands, kind of, right? What if like from above, this looks like a realm very similar to that of the grasslands, but you see these sort of like cracks, almost like ravines in the earth, and you have this forest underground that's over top of it is this other canopy of stone with grass growing above it, and you have this like forest just beneath the first like layer, the first crust of the earth.
An underground forest.
That's actually really fucking dope.
That's
So, like,
gnarly.
wait,
Gnarly
Maybe
level
stop
one.
being the
And so like the way you
I'm
get
into
into
this
it,
ideas.
you'd have to like fucking like grapple down or something to actually get
Yeah.
into the actual realm of the forest. But
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's fun. Or just
Um,
like the tops of the trees are above the.
yeah, like some of the tops of the trees are like
Ground, yeah.
poking up, and yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think. There's pictures I've seen before of a there's like a sinkhole opened up in China, and they found like essentially like a small forest
Whoa.
Yeah.
that existed underneath this sinkhole in like 2022 or something that happened. But that's really cool. So do we
I feel
think
like a big river, but like hits one of those like cracks, and it just turns into like a waterfall beneath. Ugh.
Oh yeah, maybe the river that runs through the grasslands like falls off
Oh,
into a
yeah.
waterfall over in the forest.
Pretty cool.
That's sick. I want to go to these places now. I'm already there.
Well, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
I imagine too. I'm wondering what you think of this, Danny. If the forest is mostly underground and like there's cracks in the earth above, and so sunlight still gets in, but there's probably significant dark patches that are home to like bioluminescent plants and things like that as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, man.
Cool. Do you or anybody else have anything else that you think we should think about for the forest?
So is the top of the forest like truly just like earth? Is it like supported by the top trees of the top of the branches?
Oh yeah. Is it like
Top
truly
branches of the
continuous, or is it like a shell, standalone?
I want to hear Danny's answer to this, but I
Yeah.
think this is something I'm picturing, and I want to throw that out there. Is like if you were to look from what Danny described, what I imagine it looking like is like if some behemoth creature had like clawed the earth, and so it looks almost like just like pieces of earth are ripped away, but instead of deeper earth, there's forest underneath there, and so you could like walk across above the forest on these like land bridges, but then underneath is this whole forest. And so maybe there's trees poking up from those ravines in some places.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I was picturing as well.
Oh, so on the surface it just kind of looks like arid wasteland, but like or dry lands, but there's
But
just like
beneath them,
bushes,
like,
and then you
flourishing, like,
get
forest.
closer, and it's like
But if you were to like straight up smash through that layer, you'd fall into a forest
Yeah.
apparently,
with some
But
bioluminescent stuff
I imagine like the trees, like this is like a massive ancient forest, right? So you have like trees that are skyscrapers. So it's not like you can like fall from the top, like the surface, and be fine. Like it's like a massive drop into there. That's
So
what
you're
I'm-
imagining like if a tree is poking its head above the scars in the earth, it's essentially like
Yeah.
a redwood that you're seeing
Yeah.
the top of a
Mhm.
redwood when you're on the surface.
Oh, that's terrifying. Okay.
seeing the
I like
top
it.
of the fucking Erd tree.
I love that because it kind of gives you already like a sense of like we could travel across the top for
Or
various
go
reasons,
down and
or
yep.
go down and below for various
Mhm.
reasons. So I kind of
Yeah.
it's already there's a lot of flavor there. I love it.
And the flavor is yummy.
Yum.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have any other thoughts? Cool.
No.
All right, Nick, you're up.
okay. What am
So you're gonna
I-
roll
all right.
1d6, and then we're gonna be placing whatever you roll to either the north or the east of the settlement.
Okay. I rolled a 6, which would be grasslands again.
So feel free to either re-roll or I will leave it up to you. You can re-roll or you can tell us why there's grasslands that are different from the previous grasslands on the other side, which is also an option.
Nah, I want to re-roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Four distinct regions.
I rolled forest this time. I'm going to roll again.
Okay.
Grasslands.
Come on.
Forest.
Okay. Wetland. Great.
Wetland. Cool. And where did you want to put this?
I will put it towards. I'll put it towards the north. Yes, the
Cool.
north.
To the north.
West.
I'm to the
Yeah.
West.
West.
You'd be
Sorry.
to the east.
Sorry. I changed
East
mine.
or east?
East? Sorry, west was taken. West. Yeah,
Yes.
east. Yes. Sorry.
Okay.
I was in the wrong direction.
No worries.
So
East.
the rivers run from. I think there would also be rivers running from the wetlands to the forested.
Yeah.
Oh, or you could just have them run from the forest to the wetlands. So the wetlands would be significantly lower, even than the forest is, like the actual forest floor is.
Oh
Um,
yeah. That's definitely a possibility. So the
Even lower. We're going down. We're building down.
Basically, yeah. It's like the exit on this side of the settlement is just like a straight up like stairway, just going straight down.
Wah. Ah.
I
Or
mean,
we could just be on the
topographically,
cliff.
topographically, we could be talking about vast regions that you might not even notice the grade going from the forest to the
Yeah.
wetlands.
That's
And
what I'm
certainly-
picturing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think how it would sort of, at least on that forest side of the region, it would sort of like turn from like, these great like hulking monolithic trees that can like, hold up the earth and the pieces of earth that are above it, to like these sort of like gnarled and like windy and much more like mangrove trees and banyan trees, and yeah, it wouldn't be like densely choked like like the swamp in
yeah.
the Avatar.
Yeah.
It'd be a little bit more open. It'd be more like straight up like wetlands and more like fens. I don't think it'd be possible to travel these wetlands on foot very easily.
It's like that the marsh in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean, probably dead bodies in it because Wet Bog doesn't have dead bodies in it, but
Yeah.
They all
not
do.
as many.
I've never seen one. Yeah.
They all do. They all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think there's a lot of it's not that it's like completely like impossible to see through, but it is just so endless, and there's like fog, and there's so much life, but it's not always obvious. I think anybody who living in Milwaukee, which was literally a wetland, it is a swamp. There's some respect for how much life can be packed into such a small space, and I think a lot of it is pretty unsafe and maybe unknown.
Yeah. So in terms of topography, I'm just trying to like picture this in my head. Like, what do we think about it being the sort of thing where the forest, as it gets closer to where the wetlands are, the forest kind of levels out. And so there's like a portion of the forest where it isn't covered by earth, and like it starts to kind of emerge and just become kind of a standard forest.
Yep.
And that forest kind of gives way to the wetlands. And so
I think
Yeah,
that
that's-
makes
yeah.
most sense.
The trees kind of turn over into more like mangrove,
Mhm.
banyan, kind of like wetland type trees, and then it also like opens up. It's not quite as like densely packed, and yeah, it's a lot of. I think a lot of like the land piles. It's like hard to know if there is any true like land in these wetlands. It's either like, oh wait, this is just like a knot of like banyan tree roots that have like collected enough earth on top that we can stand on
Mhm.
it, or this is just a giant like peat like floating island that is
yeah.
it looked like land, but we just realized we're moving. So that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Very hard to navigate because everything keeps changing. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that. Anybody else have anything that they want to throw out? Cool. All right, Steve, you are up. We only have 2 region types left. So when you roll your D6, instead of potentially having to roll over and over again, why don't we just say that if you
Odds,
roll
evens?
Yeah, odds, evens. If you roll evens, it's a ruin. If you roll odds, it's coastal.
Okay.
Did we
Here
roll
goes
mountain?
something.
What, Justin?
Did we roll mountain?
Oh, no, we didn't. You're right. So I guess never mind.
All
Because
right.
I was-
One
I
to
was gonna-
two,
I was going
three
to
to 4, 5,
suggest
6.
if you were all right with us just picking mountain, feels like it makes the most sense to me in terms of the logic of the map. But
I think I could make a really solid argument for coastal as well, but
was
ruins
gonna
could
say
work
that
just
too.
as much
Coastal.
sense, I think. So I think just roll.
All right. I'm just rolling.
Steve.
5.
Coastal.
That's coastal.
Coastal
Coastal,
it is.
80.
I was too excited.
The die has spoken.
Coastal to the north.
All
All right,
right.
Steve, tell us about this coastal region.
Ooh. So I think of 2 things. I should avoid imposing actively used buildings, right? Because let's let kind of some of the other factors influence like how things are established. Like the ruins was from the ancient past, I'm assuming. But like,
Yeah. I mean, I think for now, let's avoid anything that points to someone occupying the space until we find out what sort of overlord or creatures exist in the region with our other roles. We can always revisit these areas and add stuff as well after we do that part.
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I feel like having sort of a long stretch. I wish I had better like terrain words. I need to learn these words for world building. But I feel like the coastal region, like where things actually meet the water, there's just like a long stretch of shallows that allow for like sandbars. And so, like a lot of it is like walkable, type of stuff. Like you could get up to like knee height, or if the tide's coming in, you'd lose a fair amount of sandbar and it'd be more, concerning. You probably have to actually swim, but much of the time there's these just like long stretches of shallows, and it's just full of, whatever we populate for sea life and stuff. It would be ideal for whatever would live in that sort of environment. And so there, I think this place would be constantly filled with the song of birds or whatever creatures populate the air that would eat, the shellfish or similar things that live here. And I imagine it's kind of the exception to the rule with that is that there is like a significant, almost like V-shaped convergence of like deep water that cuts through the middle of this deep into the heartland, maybe even halfway into the whole coastal region. And so this is where my ravine concept is still, I think, imposing itself, is that there's like this deep drop.
An underwater ravine. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like sort of like a Marianas Trench, but not necessarily so deep type of a deal.
Yeah.
It's just very stark. And so you'd be walking along the edge of this. And at certain, I think it'd be kind of fun to leave this to mystery. Maybe it's understudied because of how deep the ravine is. But like if you're walking along the edge of the shallow sandbar, there are times where all of a sudden there's like a sudden, like a depression or whatever, where like the water sinks a great amount where the drop off is, as though sudden suction or space was underneath it. And it creates like a drop with waterfalls and swells and small whirlpools and stuff like that. I think that would be sick. And then I think as you get farther towards, into the coast, like, what do you call it? Like toward more inland, I think you just get large rock formations, maybe systems of caves.
It's a series of tubes.
So the shallows sounds like a pretty fucking dangerous place to be walking around in.
I think a lot of the time I'm picturing it, like peaceful depending on the creatures we put there,
Yeah.
and depending on how temperamental the tides are. Those are some
Yeah.
things I'll leave open. Like it could be a place of great beauty, but maybe that's, paired with danger. But if you're near the ravine, I think the ravine is just really interesting, even from an innate sense of the fear of the unknown and like, what is this huge, vast open space and why is it so sudden and drastic? And I would imagine that if ships come in anywhere, that they come in on the ravine typically, because that affords them the ability to avoid, carving up against land suddenly or unexpectedly. So maybe if there is anything built, we would build it at the point of the V furthest inland, where there's maybe like a rock formation or something.
Yeah. Is it now? And here's where I think we can go either way on this because it's a fantasy world. Is it?
This is a fantasy world.
Oh,
Is this? So you keep saying a V. Is it truly a V pointing to some sort of external intervention at some point to create this?
Oh, like
space?
an almost uncanny regularity to the shape.
Yeah, or is it more of a U shape really because it's a naturally occurring thing?
I think I'd like it to be less obvious on the face of it, that it requires some special explanation. It could be a natural phenomenon.
That's fun. I do have one question, and this is I'm not super familiar with the East Coast, but like you're describing like the difference between like the shelf of the Pacific and the Atlantic, right? Like the Atlantic has a huge shelf. You can walk along it for a really long time along the shore, and the Pacific just drops off pretty quickly. Danny, I don't know this. Does the East Coast have a lot of like rocky shore? Like hilly drop off rocky shore? My understanding was that it doesn't.
So it depends on what part of the coast you're in.
Maybe
Like if
not
you're in
as
Maine,
much as the West
most
Coast, but-
most of the coast of Maine is rocky.
Okay, all right. So it can't. Okay, all right.
But yeah,
Make sure that makes sense for.
Yeah, I mean, from what Steve's describing for the shallows, like I picture like this like very like long going like reflective surface, right? Like that's what I'm picturing. Like that you can like when it's low tide you can walk along and
no, I'm picturing that as well too. I just didn't know if I know that the Pacific, because it has a short shelf, has a lot of steep drop offs from land to sea. Like the land will come up and then there's a long drop to the ocean. But I didn't know if the East Coast had that as well too.
I don't know.
Yeah, it just depends on what part of the coast you're on.
Okay.
And
I just wanted to make sure.
There are some parts of the East Coast where it's like you're on the beach and it's like Steve described, and then you walk a mile down and it's like just like you're 1 mile up this way and you can walk 5 miles out, and you walk a mile down and you can't walk off the coast without dropping.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Yeah. I don't know what else to add. Any ideas?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know that we need to add anything. Cool. All right. So next we're going to start to populate these areas. And so we're going to start by generating enemies. And so this could be wildlife. This could be sentient. It's kind of up to the luck of the dice here. But I think we're going to go in the opposite direction, but we're going to for rolling, but we're going to go in the same order. So Steve's going to be rolling for grasslands. Does that make sense?
I understand. Yes.
Okay.
So Steve, let's have you roll again. And so this time you're actually going to roll twice. You're going to roll D6, and we're going to populate the region with 2 different types of enemies.
Okay. Here goes. So 6 for the first roll.
These realms are going to really feel like each of our own by the end of this. Maybe each of our little like love childs.
A little worlds.
So the first type of enemy to exist in the grasslands is elementals.
Oh, that's fun.
That's very fun.
Do we add any specificity to that already, or do we?
We can drill down in a bit.
Okay, cool. All right, I've got ideas.
They better be the right ideas. That's my grasslands.
All right, and a second to die. Is that what I'm doing now? Then okay. 3.
3. All right, so that is lizard. Oh no, sorry, wrong. Centaurs.
That's fun.
Okay. Also in the grasslands, correct?
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Cool. All right. And so, what was your idea about the elementals, Steve? What were you wanting to drill down on with those?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like it lends itself to like a wind elemental pattern, but I also feel like, depending on how we want to texture things and however these creatures behave, that maybe part of the reason why I feel like it's interesting to make this, like maybe makes it more scary or more, maybe you're more on edge, more careful or wary when you're like, the wind is beautiful, but like you're walking through there and maybe these elementals are barely discernible until they almost manifest in a focused way.
Yeah.
So sorry for the long-windedness, no pun intended. But like I'm imagining like small cyclones type of deal, but like a discerning eye probably could pick them up before you're in dangerous range.
Yeah. I think there could be a range of things, right? Like I think you could have elementals that, like what you're describing, that might be a little bit more visceral and animalistic in the way that they engage with what they perceive as intruders. But I think you could also have things which are technically elementals, like naiads and dryads, who are sentient and maybe a little bit more mischievous on the surface, but not necessarily any more happy to have people in the grasslands.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to sort of bridge the gap between, at least in my mind, the aesthetic of the centaurs and the elementals as well. But yeah.
I think oh, sorry.
I was just going to offer as well too that now I'm picturing that there's probably a lot of rain in this region, so I feel like water elementals also would make quite a bit of sense.
Yeah, and there's a river, so they
lightning.
River.
Yeah, all kinds of elementals. I'm writing down these ideas. I'm not necessarily going to warn you guys about what kinds of elementals you're going to run into.
Fair.
But
That's fair. I think for the elementals, just to keep them consistent, or not keep them consistent, but to reinforce that idea of like some being, mischievous and some being all powerful. The Great Plains and the Tornado Alley in America line up pretty well. So anyone who has experienced a nice cool breeze rustling through, literally miles of plain versus a tornado can tell you that the wind is all different kinds of things. And I think that's pretty easy.
Yeah. That's cool.
And so here's a question. Do we think that the centaurs occupy the ruins in the grasslands, or do we think they have they make somewhere else their home?
Ooh,
or maybe both.
That's an interesting flavoring.
I mean, my head goes to
Justin.
roaming,
like nomadic.
but
we'll settle down in ruins. It's just free shelter.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Like obviously, like temporary. Like if you're making a camp here, might as well use.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the thing on that is that it's just they're practical. If the food lines up, if seasonality lines up, then sure they could use it.
Yeah, I like that. Real quick, sorry for the audience here. Looks like maybe we're having some technical difficulties on Nick's end. Did you guys figure that out? Is that you still having that, Nick?
It just says recording error.
Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe try hopping out and hopping back in.
Okay.
Sorry, friends.
Yeah, I just didn't want to get us too far down the road and have.
Yeah. What if we had hours of no Nick?
The issue is that I won't know until we're done recording, which is a little frustrating. Thankfully, there's always a backup. So like in the few times that it's happened, I've just downloaded the backup with all of us talking.
Oh, that's
so I don't get to edit it as much as I would like to, but it works.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now it says my upload is complete. Oh, now I'm uploading. We're good.
Okay, awesome.
Yay.
Sorry.
All right, let's move on to the next area. So Nick, you are going to roll twice for, I believe we had forest. Forest next.
So is that to the north, just to help my brain?
To the south.
South.
To the south.
So
Okay, cool.
Going in a counterclockwise, starting from the right. No, clockwise, starting from the right. Starting from 3 o'clock.
Grasslands were to the west? Isn't that 9 o'clock?
West.
So now we're going to 6 o'clock.
I
Yeah,
don't know. what it is.
Counterclockwise.
You were right the first time.
Nick reads time backwards.
That's fine.
I do. And, you know,
To the
it
forest, to the
makes,
south.
it makes things
Very
hard
good.
to communicate, but I know what's going on.
That's right. You do.
Okay. Forest. Okay. Sorry. Just trying to find the.
Yeah, so you can roll 1d6 twice, or roll 2d6.
So I rolled 1 for 6 for Fae.
Faye, nice.
Mm.
All right.
We love Fae and forest.
We do.
We love Fae opening up holes in the earth above so that people fall into the forest.
Oh,
No.
But I'll roll again. Tree folk. I rolled a 3.
Awesome. I love that.
That makes sense.
I already have like a mythology forming in my head that the Fae are, like they typically tend to be, are extraplanar beings that the tree folk brought over to help protect the forest from humans cutting down too greedily, and the Fae are the ones who put the earth over the
Oh,
forest.
Not going
to
to cut
try
down
and
a tree
hide.
if a ton of earth is going to fall into you.
yeah, that's fun.
Cool. Anybody have anything specific that they want to drill down on with the Fae or the tree folk? Or
What are some? I'm curious at this stage. Like, what are some examples of the types of things we could add for a layer of texture for this?
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there's a combination of things at play here, Steve. So the world is your oyster. You can add any texture you want, but we also don't yet know who the overlords are in each of these regions, and so that might nullify something that you want to add as a layer of texture if we find out that the overlord is in complete contrast to the whatever it is that you want to add as a texture for these.
Like, obviously, I want the tree folk to be, tree shepherds. Like,
Yeah.
I want them
So
to be.
something
But-
that just came to me that I was thinking of too. So when we say tree folk, we've also already established that in the darker patches of the forest, the plant life is a little more like bioluminescent, right? And so I feel
Mhm.
like in turn, like that, the tree folk that we see there would be different as well. So maybe
Yeah.
like we see like, well, so what are Nick? What are you picturing with tree folk? Like, are you picturing like ants?
Yes, I'm just straight up picturing ants.
Yeah. I
Okay.
would also like to remind you guys that everything that we are creating here is your enemy. So it
Yeah.
might look more like something between the trees and like the Wizard of Oz and Ents versus the Ents that we're
Mm.
familiar with in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So like what Justin was saying too, like maybe like the more darker patches of the forest, the tree folk are these like almost like
Almost more
mushroom esque,
fungal. Yeah,
like,
fungal.
bioluminescent fungal things, you know?
Yeah. So fungaloids are a creature in here, but that doesn't mean we can't also have them be something akin to the tree folk that exist in that part of the forest.
I think I would say if we don't roll fungoid for the wetlands, we could definitely have them in the forest.
I'm cool with that.
As a part of tree folk.
And it would make sense if we do roll them that they might traverse both
Sure, in
spaces.
between those two.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's fair.
They're right next to each other. So
Cool. All right. Well, I think, Danny, it is your turn to roll
Okay.
for the wetlands.
Okay.
Actually, why don't I have you roll for coastal because you did roll the wetlands.
no, I rolled the wetlands.
You rolled the wetlands? Okay.
I rolled forest.
You're right. I'm mixing things up in my head. I'm getting myself
You're
confused.
good, man.
No, I think that
All right.
what we're doing is perfect.
Cool. You'll roll for the wetlands then.
Yes.
Give us our enemies.
Oh, I rolled and I went underneath my computer. I'll grab another dice. Okay.
Really hope somebody rolls undead.
6.
Aberrations. Ooh.
That's pretty good.
Ooh. Just so I have someone.
I think that's
lost a
better
game
if
of
we don't
Magic to
define them in any way.
Yeah, just
No,
leave it
yeah.
as that.
No, I've got some stuff in my sleeve and it's gonna.
You.
Yeah. I want to wow
What?
you with my aberrations.
I don't want to see Johnny's aberrations.
So
I was yeah.
Sorry, my brain is lagging, but coming up with ideas for the tree folk after we've moved on. Can I throw it in the bucket and see what happens with it?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Okay. So I think you guys mentioned some factors in the terrain of the forest that would cause like shifts and changes in things. I may have been mixing that up or not. I don't know.
I think you are mixing.
That's
that
mostly
up,
talking
yes.
about the wetlands.
That was the wetlands that's shifting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So one idea I just want to throw in the bucket is that like this premise of like dreaming tree folk. Not to suggest that all of them are all asleep all the time or even by default, but like many tree folk would like sleep for long stretches of time. But I'm curious about like the interplay of the idea of like tree folk dreaming in a way that mysteriously like intersects with Fey activity. And like, I think it would be cool if you're walking near a tree folk that happens to be like having a nightmarish experience or something, like that might manifest in some way around you that is unpredictable. Like if Fae are drawn to trees as they have certain dreams or whatever, and then almost like play out or act out what's happening. Just a
There's like
curious
this, like-
idea that popped into my head.
It's like this like pollen that releases from the tree folk that the Fae react to positively, but if you're non-Fae, then it has these negative
Causes,
effects on you.
Illusory.
That could be fun. Yeah, that could be fun. It's just a very like, I don't know, theatrical thing that popped into my head that it'd be terrifying if you walk upon the wrong tree while it's having a nightmare, you know?
I'm gonna write that down in a list titled "Let me think about it."
It's fine. It's okay if you just put it on the refrigerator for me, you know, and say, thanks, Steve. That's a good idea you have there.
Oh, we gotta hang this up.
Well,
You did this yourself?
We'll hear rumors of people saying that. Oh, I think this happens. Everyone's like, no, that doesn't happen. What are you talking about?
It doesn't happen. Anyway, sorry, back to Danny.
Trees.
Shut up about the sleeping trees. The trees don't sleep.
Trees.
So back to aberrations. I don't know what Johnny, I don't know what you're thinking of, but when I was thinking of the aberrations in the wetlands, I like picture.
I think we decided as a
Us-
group that we're not going to discuss the aberrations,
Leave
Danny.
that.
Yeah, but
You
but I
don't
think
talk
something
about that. I'm just
something that I
What do you wanna
noticed, you only ever see like the smallest portion of them, right? Like through the cameras, like following the group traveling the wetlands, but then as the group leaves the frame, like we see like a hand lower back into the wetlands that at first we thought was a tree in the distance, but turns out it wasn't, right? Or like a long serpentine figure just like poking out of the water for a second to like go back in, but like we only see like the smallest portion of this like gigantic body of whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah, they will be scary.
Okay.
Johnny's
And
like,
I rolled
can see that
again.
They will be scared.
I rolled
Um,
again and I got 2.
2.
Is that undead? Oh,
No, that is mimics.
That's terrifying. Jesus.
I mean,
Yeah, no, these wetlands are going to be scary.
These wetlands are terrifying.
Oh.
Yeah,
No.
and I want to kind of get a consensus from the class here, because I think we can handle mimics one of two ways. We can handle them the way that D&D handles mimics, where they are a hunger driven creature that looks like a static thing, or they can be shapeshifters.
I think shapeshifters that can also, but I also kind of want them to be able to shapeshift into like static things.
Yeah, oh no, I'm not going to limit
like
them
fold
from that.
in
if
it.
they're
Okay, yeah,
shapeshifters.
okay, okay.
Shapeshifters for sure.
Shapeshifter.
But like the same mimic
Sort of more-
could be a tree 1 minute and like your boat the next, or whatever.
yeah.
Like,
Or
100%.
one of our friends calling for help in the distance.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm like,
100%.
yeah, I'm picturing something that feels more like a haunt.
yeah.
We're never going to the
So-
wetlands.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're just never going to the wetlands. Got
Channel 58. Deep
Amazing.
helmet.
Okay, so before we move on to Justin rolling for our coastal enemies, I have a very important question that's going to bother me if I don't ask it, and it has nothing to do with the game. Danny, is that a Lua LCT 240 behind you?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. All right, Justin.
Yeah, no. Bro,
Well, because I have a 440 pure right next to me over here, so I was like, I know that's a Lewitt, but I think the sticker's on the wrong side for it to be a 440, so that makes it a 240, and I needed to be sure.
Yes, you did. You had to.
I mean, it could have been a 540, but it doesn't have the other buttons it needs.
Well, of course. We all thought of the 540, but
They're beautiful.
There's no way in
Austrian
hell it's a
microphones.
640.
I didn't know.
Well, no, a 640 it has a tube driver, and there's definitely no tube driver connected
that's
to
what I'm
that.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
You don't see that
People
tube
these
driver?
days.
There's clearly a tube driver back there.
There's definitely not a tube. What are you talking about?
Come on, look at his screen
This
again.
feels
There's
like
a
a
tube
skit.
driver.
A skit entitled like dudes talking about like building stuff. You need a tube driver. You need a
You don't get a-
6x4 for that tube driver.
It's
The
clearly
only
a
thing
tube
I get-
driver.
Here's the thing: the only thing in the world I get as nerdy about is games, is microphones, and so.
That's awesome.
And we were very grateful.
Anyways, Justin, please roll and tell us what enemies we're facing in the coastal lands.
Okay.
I'm so curious
One
now,
is-
my baby. Yeah.
6 Leviathans.
Ooh, and that's perfect with Steve's
Yeah.
setup.
I know where they go. They're not just chilling, laying out on the flat part.
5 is Sirens.
Ooh.
Sad it wasn't
Oh.
undead, but I like Sirens as well.
But Sirens
they're
also
not
works
dead.
really well with those shallows and
The shallows.
That
I
was
know.
as
It
well,
works
so.
great. It works great.
I like, yeah.
that's
Well, none of these
dope.
places are particularly pleasant anymore, but it's
let's-
still
let's-
beautiful.
Let's just stay in our town and never leave it.
Yeah, you just
Well,
look out over them and then
You know what? I gotta say, sometimes the dice are like, it's almost like the dice hear the story you're telling and they
Yeah.
agree. Because like I'm thinking about specifically the grasslands and the fact that like elementals and centaurs do nothing to mitigate Justin's picture of serenity.
Oh, yeah.
Like from a
sure.
distance,
Yeah.
a grassland full of elementals and centaurs is still an incredibly serene place.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
until you step into it.
Until you get there and you're like, oh no, please
Yeah.
no.
And I mean, there's something to be said about mimics that are can like clone people and aberrations in a a swamp that constantly changes and is very confusing. And
Yeah, and that adds the layer of like now sometimes the fact that the swamp is shifting isn't just because it's a peat bog and things are moving around. It's because not only is it possible that island was actually peat, it's possible that island was an aberration or a mimic.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I love it. I love
Just
it.
gonna walk around stabbing everything. Just like
just think about Pete.
You have-
It'll just take that.
You have those people who like walk with like the twin like walking stick things. You guys are just doing that with swords going through the wetland.
just in case I'm walking on a creature. I'd rather it be a dead one.
That'd actually be a really
Awesome.
cool like cultural response to living in a place like that. You have like shoes that have basically knives on the bottom.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Just
then-
like straight up
I love that.
katana stilts.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a Mad Max Fury Road where they pass the swamp and you see those guys that are
Yeah.
literally on.
That made no. Okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna say that. It's very cool.
Okay. I am gonna do so. We're gonna decide what the overlords in each region look like now. So the overlords are basically the regional bosses who control each of these areas, and so there is going to be a level where maybe the enemies that exist in this area are hypothetically subservient to the overlord. There's also the possibility that there are people who live in this region who serve the overlord, and they might even be at odds with the enemies that are in the land. It's also possible, I didn't mention this up top, but it's also possible that the enemies that exist are at odds with each other. I'm not going to let you guys know ahead of time right now. You will know later down the road. I just haven't decided yet what creatures might be at odds with one another, and as well as at odds with you, if that makes sense. And so they are all your enemies, but some of them might be each other's too. But that said, what we're going to do for the overlords, we are going to roll again. And so there's going to be 2 rolls for each overlord, one that determines their style and one that determines their archetype. And so the styles, the overlords can be reckless, obsessed, vengeful, arrogant, paranoid, or cruel. And then for archetypes, we can be looking at a conqueror, a maestro, a beguiler, a harbinger, a demagogue, or a behemoth. And so there is a little bit more of like stuff that comes up with the overlords that we roll. I'm not going to get too in the weeds on that until we roll what the overlords are, and then I'll in the weeds for you guys on what they look like. And so I think we're gonna do something really specific here. I'm gonna have each of you roll an overlord, but I'm not gonna tell you what region you're rolling for these overlords.
Ooh, I like that.
I'll be recording it, so I'm not gonna like move it. It is gonna be kind of like static and set, but you just won't know yet.
Don't know.
Okay.
I really hope someone rolls a bunch of 6s.
Before we roll 2, I think I should mention. Normally we would record 2 episodes. We've decided we're just going to do realm creation and character creation in one sitting. So this is just like a big, long, mega episode 0 where we both create the realm and create characters. So we are just going to record until we're finished with this.
Yeah. There is also there is a type of this is just I'm already moving right back in.
That's
you,
fine.
Justin.
You're fine. Just needed to make that announcement for people watching.
Yeah. There is a type of overlord called the World Eater, which is like a ultimate big bad. Now, I have a question for you guys because we don't have to use the World Eater. And so, do you guys want to play with the World Eater, or have the stakes be a little bit more grounded than the World Eater?
Well, if we roll the World Eater, I want to use the World Eater. We most likely will not roll the World Eater.
Here's my concern with it is that I like the fact that like in most like in Blades in the Dark, you're constantly having to juggle who you're fighting. And I worry that with the World Eater, it'll become very much just like, all right, we're going against the World Eater.
I don't
That's my
think so.
concern
I
as
mean,
well.
especially with the world we've created, I picture, this is already such a harsh setting we're in, and on top of that, there's this. I feel like it just fortifies
the
that
World
everything
Eater
is
specifically becomes this mega threat.
Yeah.
It
And
is
I
difficult
think
to roll the World Eater.
Sure. Here's my only concern again, Danny, is like not that we can't do it, but that part of the game is having to juggle what you're fighting against.
Yeah.
And that means you're not fighting against something else. So that would be the only thing is like if we played the World Eater, Johnny should make it a huge threat, enough of a threat that we are probably only going to focus on the World Eater, but that leaves us open to being attacked.
Here's where my mind
the other
goes.
3.
Here's where my mind goes. Johnny makes it so much of a threat where it's hopeless to even try fighting the World Eater.
Well,
it's just something that we have to like void through.
But that's not what the World Eater says. Guys, the World Eater says that it's literally sleeping. So most of the campaign is to try not to let it wake up, which means we can be anywhere and find anything.
Sure.
We might not even know that there is a plot to wake it up. Everybody just knows that the Tarask is sleeping over there, and just don't wake it up.
Yeah.
For those watching, the World Eater is a specific type of overlord that we might roll.
Yeah, if you
roll 3 6s. You'd have to first 2 6s, and then you get the chance to roll another die.
A third 6.
If
it's a very low
specifically a 6, you get the World Eater.
I'm fine with it. I just wanted to throw out my concerns. So
I know my concern is if it becomes something that we're only focusing on this, it takes away from like that terrifying mystery of the World Eater as well, which I think adds so much to it.
I mean, you can have a World Eater that people don't know about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you guys just by default will know that the World Eater exists in one of these regions because you'll have rolled it, but
our characters might not.
That's true.
Ancient
That's true. Okay, let's jump into it. Let's Danny, why don't I have you roll first? Roll 2d6 and
2 and 4.
2 and 4. All right. So it looks like we have either, and I'll let you decide whether we're looking at an obsessed harbinger or an arrogant maestro.
Those are good.
Those are
good.
I hate them both. I hate them. Love to hate them.
I think I like obsessed harbinger.
All right.
Obsessed. Oh, man. Every wizard I play.
I feel like we're going to build this world and then it's going to kill us right away.
So the harbinger, just so you guys know, leads through magic and mystery.
Yeah.
And because they are obsessed, this person will gain that faction will gain 1+1 tick whenever I do the faction roll. All right.
Okay.
Nick, I'll have you roll next.
Okay. 2 and a 6.
All right, so that is either an obsessed behemoth or a cruel maestro.
I like not using obsessed. What's cruel like? Swap starting doom and advantage pools before quest. Ooh,
Oh,
that's pretty hard.
It's good though.
It's really good.
Hard.
What? I think yeah. I'll do cruel, maestro.
Cruel Maestro makes so much sense too. It's
Yeah, the
mean.
maestro.
Yeah, mean guy.
It's just a
leads
real
through
big
discipline
guy.
and cunning.
He's so mean.
He's so mean and smart. He's smart.
Justin.
Yes.
Smart.
Yes.
Wicked smart.
It's not. I rolled a 3 and a 2, so either a vengeful maestro or an obsessed beguiler.
Permission to re-roll the 2.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. 1. So either
nice.
a reckless beguiler or a vengeful conqueror.
Those are both. Yeah.
So really good. Oh,
So for our listeners, the beguiler leads through domination and manipulation.
yeah.
Yep. And the
Whereas
conqueror
the
leads through
conqueror-
violence and strength.
Yeah.
I kind of love reckless conqueror a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I like
I
reckless.
thought it was Vengeful Conqueror
Vengeful. Yeah.
or Reckless
Vengeful.
Beguiler.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Vengeful conqueror. Yeah.
Vengeful Conqueror also is very cool. Yeah.
Vengeful Conqueror it is. All right. And now my roll.
Oh, which kind of
Yep.
could fortify a character concept I had in mind. Oh.
Yeah, and so that vengeful, because of the vengeful, just so you guys know as well, they get, when I roll for a faction, they will be targeting with +2 ire increases after facing them.
What is ire, Johnny?
It's
Just
just
like heat.
Yep. From Scum and Villainy.
And Wrath is like wanted levels, right?
correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
5s and 5s, baby. 5. So it's got to
So-
be.
A paranoid
Paranoid
demagogue.
demagogue. It's fine by me.
There you go.
So Paranoid gives the party -1 die on stealth and deception approaches because they're paranoid, so they're always watchful, I guess. And the demagogue we heard, right? Let's see. Leads
They
through
lead through fervor
belief.
and belief.
That's so cool.
And I will let you guys know, I think I will be adding human NPCs, whether they are direct followers or innocent, some combination of the two, to every region. With
Yeah,
that
that's
in mind, I'm going to tell you up front what region I put each of these overlords in. So
Perfect, please.
on the coast, we have the paranoid demagogue. In the grasslands, we have the vengeful conqueror. The forest is the home to the cruel maestro, and the wetlands are the obsessed harbinger.
Great.
I love it. I love it.
I hate the wetlands so much.
I will also say I picked at random and I just committed to, as you guys were rolling, I just wrote down. So I didn't know what was going to end up in each region.
In
It all
And it
makes
just ended up
sense.
so
It all works.
perfect.
It all
Yeah,
works really
so
well.
perfect.
For faction tiers, Johnny, can I suggest that we go with diverse?
Yeah.
Just so, because even in like standard Blades in the Dark and Scum and Villainy, all the various people you're fighting are at different tiers, and I think it does
Yes.
it adds a lot to the game.
So I'll let you guys weigh in on this. What overlord do you think is the strongest? And they're going to be a tier 2.
It does say to caution against an arrogant or obsessed overlord at tier 2 because they'll start to grow really quickly.
Yeah.
I was going to say wetlands, but that made me terrified to say wetlands because that's an obsessed harbinger. So
Yeah, I was gonna say the obsessed harbinger makes it makes so much sense for it to be the strongest, but it is obsessed.
Yeah.
We
So if
have
it was
so much
me,
experience
which
playing
it
this
could
game.
be, I will say I think it would make the most sense for the paranoid demagogue to be tier 2.
Mm.
Sure, I like
because
that.
they can whip up their followers into that like religious fervor.
Yeah,
Woo!
I like that.
Let's do it.
I like that.
that's so much.
Paranoid
Can't
demagogue
wait to meet the
was-
seat freaks.
Yeah,
West
and
Coastal Knight.
and a piece of world building I'm going to give you guys right now because it's already in my head and I think it makes perfect sense with the demagogue is that they are a cult that worships the Leviathan
Yeah.
Yep.
In
Yep.
the yeah,
Yep.
in the coastal region.
Great.
Yeah.
And then
Love
which one
that.
do we think is the weakest and starts at tier 0?
Ooh. How
And
about
make it the wetlands just to make you guys feel a little safer.
No.
I mean, how impotent is tier 0? Because it's not like it'll make them an irrelevancy.
I mean, we're
Um,
essentially tier.
It'll
0.
just make
It
you on
just-
even
they're
footing with
equals.
them initially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's put
Maybe
ourselves on
the-
equal footing with the maestro.
I was going to suggest the Conqueror, but
I
Do you have a particular thought?
it just felt like the most straightforward,
Hmm.
right? Like just violence against violence. You know, a party of adventure
That's kind of why I want it to be the cruel maestro. Like, let's
Okay.
start him in 0.
at 0 and see
See
what
what
he
his
Maestro
cruel
is
and
the
Let's
forest.
see if he's
feeling
cunning
cunning.
enough.
Yeah. Let's start at the same place and see if he becomes the big bad at the end.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it.
The cruel maestro is the forest overlord, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And that means that the grasslands and the wetlands are both tier 1.
Tier 1.
And I'm just gonna make a call myself here, and I'm actually going to give the advantage, meaning that they have a clock filled to the grasslands overlord.
I like that.
Mm.
I like it a lot.
Okay.
Like that.
Now we're gonna take a step back into character creation and then create your guys' settlement. I think we're gonna do our characters before we do the settlement. And then we'll build the settlement kind of around your characters. But let's take a quick 5-minute bio break. How do we feel about
Thank
that?
God.
Go for it.
Yes, please.
I need chocolate.
I don't have
Cool.
a will be back, so
So too bad.
We'll be back.
Hey, everybody, we'll be back.
we'll be back. Is
Let's say
5
55.
minutes?
We'll make it a 8-minute or 7-minute bio. 8.
All right.
Yeah, 8. Yeah, we'll be back at 55.
right back.
How was your break?
Oh, went to the restroom, got some water.
Exactly the same as mine.
Solved world hunger.
Ooh.
Yeah. It turns
Wow.
out we just need to make sure that everyone has enough food.
It's always the last place you look.
Right?
Justin, I've been meaning to ask you that. How are you able to go so many episodes?
Yeah.
Without having to pee halfway through?
I have made my body my bitch.
The world
That
is your
and
oyster,
a
and your
catheter.
body's your bitch.
That and I'm currently peeing all the time. No, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I went to the
Yeah,
bathroom
because-
because I needed to, but like I could have held it.
Yeah.
It's probably
Because
not good for me.
Yeah, about halfway through each episode, I start having to, but then I feel bad, like I don't want to, because it's something that we almost, I don't think we do much. Like, hey, the GM needs to go take a bio break.
It's true.
You know?
I feel like you have to pee a lot more than I do as well too.
Yeah.
I also will, like, if you remember, like, when we're doing like pre-stream stuff and we're like hanging out in our green room, I'll wait until like 5 minutes before we're live.
I do
and then I'll
that
go
too.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know why I've had to, like, because I feel like I don't usually have to pee, or I can hold it, but like today I've just been like, when I gotta go, I just gotta go. I can't, like, I just couldn't.
No, I get that.
But
I'm so
how are you guys feeling about the realm so far?
so cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm
something that I know that we were.
I'm starting to figure out. Yeah, I've got a couple ideas, I think.
I was I forgot what I was doing, but I was sort of zoning during the grasslands creatures. The centaurs are just like regular centaurs, right? Just half human, half horse people.
As far as you
Right.
know so far, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will not hesitate to take some like creative liberties with some of the things, really more in terms of like building culture around the centaurs and because even though we built the realm together, I do want there to be some element of discovery for you guys as
For
you
sure,
explore
there
with
should
your
be.
characters.
Please, yeah.
There should be. Yeah.
But awesome. Welcome back, you guys. I was asking how they were feeling about the realm creation before we hop into
I'm terrified.
creation.
I'm very excited and terrified. I don't know how any character that I make can survive this, but it's very. That
We
makes
do
me
it
want to step
together.
into it. We do it together. We do it together.
Then we do that together too.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so let's jump into character creation, you guys. I know I encourage you all to come with some level of concept for a character, but we didn't know what the world looked like yet. So I know that I'm sure each of you has had some of your concepts solidified and some thrown out the window by what we just did. But let me just get to the first
Just
page
gonna
on
roll
character
randomly.
creation here. That works too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I've got some ideas.
Okay, let me see. Just get into the page. Character creation. So, if you guys are wanting to, I think it's page 46, 47 is where character creation starts
Okay.
in the book. But we will go through this. So we are going to start by choosing playbooks. And what we'll do, we've done this in the past. We'll do kind of like round robin where we'll go through the steps together. And so I'll have everybody choose playbooks and then we'll all choose and we'll just move down the line together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, let's start with playbooks. And so should I read what the playbooks are? Do you guys want me to do
Yeah,
that?
I think
do
for
that
the
I think our
audience
listeners
for the
would
listeners, yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just read this little blurb in the book. The playbooks are specialized sheets that have all the information for characters you'll be playing. Basically, useful narrative starting points for you to grow and explore. And there are 12 playbooks in this book, or in this game. So there are bards. Bards excel at social interactions and lucky breaks. Play a bard if you want to be bold, beautiful, and over the top. Then there's the Berserker, which excels at making threats and breaking bones. Play a Berserker if you want to destroy everything that stands in your way. Clerics excel at seeking truth and supporting others. Play a Cleric if you want to bring peace to others and make the world a better place. And we have Druids. Druids excel at using their surroundings and adapting to what is needed. Play a Druid if you want to be strange, powerful, and unforgettable. Fighters excel at strategic combat and surviving despite the odds. Play a fighter if you want to slay monsters and live to tell the tale. Monks excel at physical skill and mental discipline. Play a monk if you want to make the impossible look easy. Then we have paladins who excel at protecting others and destroying evil. Play a paladin if you want to be a hero, no matter what it may cost you. Then we have rangers who excel at hunting their prey and seizing control of the situation. Play a ranger if you want to make your own luck. Rogues excel at doing crime and getting away with it. Play a rogue if you want to do whatever the hell you want. Sorcerers excel at creating chaos and using overwhelming power. Play a sorcerer if you want to cause problems on purpose. Warlocks excel at manipulating others and using dark magics. Play a warlock if you want to be an absolute bastard. And then finally, wizards excel at uncovering knowledge and crafting new arcana. Play a wizard if you want to be the smartest person in the room.
It feels like a call out.
Play type this time, Nick.
What?
He said play against type.
Oh.
You can't just be yourself in every game.
No, I know. Sorry. Well, no, I've just okay. Wait a second. That's what I was saying. I was saying.
Wait a minute.
Wait.
Play a lot of wizards, so it feels like a call out to say that I want to be the smartest person in the room.
And we're just saying that you are the smartest person in the room, so maybe let us feel smart for a little bit. And the rest of us will play wizards while you play a bard or something.
Let's
I
all
want
play
to be
wizards
an
except for
absolute
Nick.
bastard. That's all I want.
Nick's a berserker. We're all wizards.
I do love the range of these like elevator pitches for each of the classes, because like it goes from cleric to like, if you want to bring peace to others and make the world a better place, to hey, be an absolute bastard. Okay, just be the worst.
So what playbooks are calling out to you guys?
I do not want to be the first to speak on this front. I would like to yield the floor.
Okay.
I feel a specific calling to the sorcerer. I
Awesome.
feel like it fits my play style really well.
Go hard.
Not go hard, cause problems.
That too.
Cause problems, get hard.
Cause problems, get hard.
T-shirt. Dustfire T-shirt.
Maybe.
Because problems get hard. Anyway, okay, I love it. Are we just speaking to the interest level in playbook?
No, so
this
I think at this point you can change your mind until we move on to the next step, but I am technically looking for a commitment.
Yeah. I mean, can I ask Justin to add more info to what he's envisioning for his character, or should we wait on that then? We're just claiming the book.
We're going through character creation together. So we're just doing playbooks right now. And we'll do like
Just the
heritage
playbook.
and unfold everything as we go. That said, I guess you can ask Justin to drill down a little bit on what his sorcerer might look like, if that's why you're asking. You feel like you want to.
Sure. So
Well, yeah, it may help to just give a little hook to hang things on for deciding how to complement his character, just based on, or just from a playbook standpoint. Like, I know we can technically choose to play the same playbook, but knowing even a little bit about how he intends to use this,
even the personality for sure, I get you.
might help me decide if I don't want to step on that.
And that being said, too, like I've got a couple other ideas in the back burner. This is just my favorite.
No, you're
one
locked
right
in.
now.
You can't.
You're locked in.
Okay.
We're not going to let you change. But we just want to know more about it.
Oh, damn it. No, I think they are a they're like a sailor. They're like a Leviathan hunter by training.
Oh, you're so cool. You're so cool that I hate you. Okay.
I will say, I'll remind you guys, and I will say for the audience's sake as well, the book does kind of give us an encouragement to avoid changing our character concepts just because someone else is doing something that might have some level of overlap, because you're going to play those characters very differently. So if someone else was thinking about playing a sorcerer, don't not play a sorcerer just because Justin's playing a sorcerer now, because your sorcerers will look different from one another.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Sailor Leviathan Hunter. Already at odds with the cult, obviously, that loves the Leviathan. But yeah, that's so fun. All right. Thank you for that. That's all the texture I needed. Nick.
Do you have an idea for
next.
what?
I have an idea that Nick should go next.
Just like to remind you guys that you don't get to decide who goes next. I'm in charge.
No. I'm so feeble.
Nick, you go next.
I actually want to do. So there are some tropes in these fantasy games that I've never really touched. So I kind of want to turn it over to you guys. Do you guys think I should play a cleric, a paladin, or a ranger?
Because you steered clear of those your whole life.
I immediately thought of paladin for you. I don't know why, but that's where my head went.
Wait, I thought I couldn't play me anymore.
I was gonna say, I think based on the things I've seen you do at tables so far, I would like to see you play a cleric.
That would have been my next.
He's already playing a cleric in Scars of Disorder.
Is he?
No, no, I'm not.
No,
That's
not really. Not really.
That's not even close.
You're playing a
Just put
waterbending
that-
healer.
Just gonna put that in
Yeah,
the
that's not
things Danny said.
saying- Yeah,
And you're
just
playing a
ignore it.
cleric that's bad
Danny,
at being a
pick one.
cleric.
I'm getting a consensus. You don't all have to agree, but I just want all of your input.
What are
Yeah.
the options you give up?
I
Cleric,
said
paladin,
paladin,
ranger.
or ranger.
Speaking truth and supporting others for the cleric, bringing peace. What is it that you have avoided about clerics so far, Nick?
Um,
Do you just hate helping people?
no, it's like, I guess it's the sort of the faith and the religion side of things. It's not something that I mean, I've explored like faith to some extent in the characters that I've played. But it's not like devotion, I
To
suppose.
that sort of explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Johnny might be
Actually-
able to speak to this, like the aspects of a cleric that might be flexible in this world, but maybe you
I
don't
don't
have to, you know.
You'd want that based on what I just said.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I will say from a GM standpoint, and I probably will hold you guys to some level of this sort of a thing. Like, I love it when GMs that I've played with take a hard line on, like, if you're a cleric, you have to be devoted to some kind of a god in order to use divine magic,
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah.
clerics do. And so if you are wishy-washy or not devoted, you lose your magic. Same like
Yeah.
if a warlock breaks their pact or
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. Like if you're playing something like a cleric, a paladin, a warlock who needs to be devoted to something to be able to use their abilities, you have to stay devoted to that thing.
Yeah, no, I'm with that.
I like cleric for
Put
Nick.
yourself to something cool, man.
Cleric it is.
I will also say, awesome, Nick playing cleric. I love it. I have played, and Steve actually GM'd this game. It was not something that we made. My favorite character I've ever played was a cleric, and he was a cleric of the god of death. Yep, and it was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
He was a right bastard, but he was a ton of fun to play.
Sometimes
We all need them.
they are the
you know?
best characters.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, you've had enough time.
Have I? We're gonna make Danny go last, not me.
That's what I think I like.
Very well. If it pleases you, GM.
It does.
It doth. I would like. This is still so hard. I would like to be a druid.
Amazing.
I'm proud of you for picking.
This so far, and I don't know what you're thinking, Danny, and I don't want this to influence your decision, so I'm not going to say it. Never mind.
No, I know exactly what you're thinking because I'm thinking the exact same thing.
Okay, let's see what Danny does to fill in the blank.
He's not going to do what you expect him to do or what you want him to do. So,
I don't want him to do anything.
Oh.
I'm really interested to see. Actually, like, regardless of what he does, my statement will stand. But
Oh yeah,
good.
I know we're spellcasters galore.
that was what I was going to say.
that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
okay.
But the cool thing about this is that it's not D&D, so we don't have to
Yeah.
have a balanced party.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if,
What
and
does
because
it
it's
do
not
without a
D&D,
fighter?
and for the same reason, even if everybody in the party was a melee class, you could still use magic.
Mm-hmm.
That is neat. Screw
I-
D&D.
So this going last did not help me whatsoever because none of you guys picked any of the options that I was laying out for myself. But I am set on one. I want to be a paladin.
Okay.
Right.
Do you
Okay.
guys want to hear the one sentence bio prompt that I had for my
Of
paladin?
course.
Yes.
No.
Lost knight from a dead kingdom. I don't know what that means yet.
Hey.
We'll find out.
Into.
We are going to find out.
That's actually exactly what we play to do.
The Dustfire Media. Ready?
All right, guys. So next we are going to choose heritage. So for those of you at home, heritage is, I'll just read the blurb here in the book, actually. When you make your character, select a heritage and two traits from the list. Heritages are all based on the fantasy archetypes you're probably familiar with, but are left intentionally bare. Each one has 4 traits that are common to people of that heritage, but not true of all of them. And then you choose 2 that are true for your hero. And then you can gain XP. It goes on, yada, yada. But right now, we're choosing two things. Won't get too in the weeds on the rest of that. I will also say, because the book says it, and I think it's actually a really good point, I'll just, again, read the blurb before we choose heritages. Tabletop RPGs have failed portraying race in their worlds. They've lacked nuance, care, empathy. The classic fantasy races have calcified into a collection of nostalgia, caricature, and harmful stereotypes. But we are not going to try and change that here. That's not what the book's aiming to do. That's not necessarily what we're aiming to do. We're going to try and be respectful as much as we can. But we're going to handle the archetypes with care and consideration, but they're still going to end up falling into some level of like trope and some of that stuff. But we're going to be okay with it. So saith your God.
Maybe you can just worship Johnny, Nick.
Thank you. Yeah. Should I start now?
Ideally.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
All right. Yeah. So let me just run down. I won't go through all of the different things. We'll go through them as you guys like select things. But in terms of the heritages you can choose from, we have dwarf, orc, gnome, elf, halfling, human, and human. Realized I was about to list human as if something else was after it, and then I would have just stopped talking. So I stumbled over
Horse.
throwing an and in there.
It would have been funny if you did the and then just stopped. Human
All
and
right. Human and. All right, Justin, do you have a heritage in mind?
I do have a heritage in mind. I am thinking halfling.
Amazing. Steve.
I would like to be an elf.
An elf druid. Very original. Nick.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's a great idea, Steve. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good idea, Steve.
No, it's
I'm
great.
once again going against the tropes that I've leaned into. I am going to play an elf cleric.
Nice. My cleric was also an elf. Danny?
Double elves.
So we have a halfling and 2 elves.
walk into a
Don't
bar.
worry about what anybody else is. What are you gonna be?
I'm a human.
Okay, cool.
Boring. No, I'm just
All
kidding.
right. And what? So, Justin, for your halfling, what two traits
Yeah.
from the halfling are you taking?
Yeah. Question. So we should say up at the front too that Heroes by Hearthlight is a Forge in the
yes.
Dark game, and we've taken Deep Cuts, which is a new module that came out for Blades in the Dark specifically, but sort of updated a lot of the mechanics and systems in Blades in the Dark. And we thought it would be fun to try and take those updated mechanics and apply them to Heroes by Hearthlight. So we've actually gone through and updated quite a lot about the game, trying to keep it as close to the original game as possible, but just sort of updating sometimes language, sometimes keeping the spirit of an ability, but updating it for deep cuts.
Yeah.
So there might be sometimes the reason I'm setting this up is because I have a question. There might be some times that we have to do a ruling. I think like we've talked about stuff beforehand, but something just came up and I'm like, oh, we didn't talk about this. Surprising, the extra one load item for each adventure, can that be a spell?
I'll say yeah.
Okay. I think then I'm gonna take I think I'm gonna take Lucky, and even though I just asked it, Gregarious.
Nice.
Lucky and Gregarious.
You want to tell the audience what those two things do for your character?
Yeah, Lucky lets me add an extra dice to a push myself roll, which is the new resistance roll, once per adventure. And Gregarious gives me a +1 to charm.
Awesome. All right. Danny, what traits are you going to take for your human?
I'm taking supportive and versatile. And the trait I'm going to be taking from supportive gives me a +1 dice to group actions. Versatile lets me take a trait from another heritage. So with versatile, I'm going to be taking tenacious from the orc. So my character's a half orc.
Nice. I love that. And what does the tenacious do?
Oh yeah, sorry. Tenacious we've kind of modified it, like what Justin said. We've sort of done some things. The deep cut sort of thing is once per adventure, ignore 1 harm or trauma being invoked with tenacious.
Beautiful. All right. And then Nick, what elf traits are you taking for your character?
I think I'm gonna do precise and I think vigilant. I don't really want long-lived or graceful.
Cool. And what do those two things do?
They're mostly just stat things. So vigilant gives me a +1 to perception for a max of 2, and precise gives me a +1d to push myself. Well, specifically reflex push myself rolls.
Amazing. All right. And last but not least, Steve.
I think I would like to choose long-lived. When you gather information about history long past, you gain detailed answers to these questions, like how old is this item? What do I know about this person, place, or item's history? Gain +1 die when using that information. And then I think I would like to also be vigilant to get that
Great.
+1 perception.
Love it. Awesome. And so now that is heritage. And so next we are going to go ahead and choose history. Your character's history describes what they did before they became an adventurer. Choose a category from below and then a specific detail. For example, you could choose criminal, then write ex-pirate captain, or you might choose outcast and then write wrongly accused and exiled. So I'll give you guys a second to look at those. And whoever has one first, just go ahead and speak up.
I actually had a question.
Sure.
So I already, for my character concepts, I already had like the ideas I had for their history. But for this specific character, I was sort of between two because his background obviously is he used to be like an actual like knight, right? Obviously he's not anymore because he doesn't have a specific hold that he's bound to. And I immediately go to soldier, but I feel like privileged could also fall in line
Yeah.
with having a background as a knight. And I'm gonna say privileged. I think
Cool.
when I like thinking between soldier and privilege, I feel like that would like sort of describe his knightly duties. I think the kingdom that he was a knight for, but he wasn't like the type of knight to like go and like conquer or like fight. It was more of like a little bit more of a peaceful job, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it might be maybe he's a noble and it's the sort of thing where like, which happened in real life, a lot of like noble sons became knights until they were able to take over their family lands?
Yeah, yes, I think yes, I love that. Yeah. Privileged.
Cool. All right. Anybody else have history ready? Justin, you kind of gave us a taste of what I think you were thinking the direction for your history already. Oh, you are muted, my friend.
Hear me out. I like the
Yep.
example actually in the book, ex-pirate captain, criminal.
Nice.
So I'm kind of imagining like basically like a group of privateers that get hired to hunt leviathans that also like do piratey things, and it's sort of not allowed, but like because they also hunt leviathans, the greater world's kind of like so yeah, sometimes they'll board a ship and take it, but they also help kind of keep the waters safe over there, so we kind of let them do that.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, like Buccaneers.
Yeah, a little bit like that.
Yes. Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Steve,
Just like
do you have a history?
I do. I would like to choose weird. And I think the sub-description would be something like former advisor or elder to some group. And I think that the reason why it's weird is because I was essentially employed in trying to listen to the whispers of the wind and other kind of intangible, difficult, or inscrutable things related to nature as a service to some important person or people.
Yeah, is it possible that maybe you were something akin to like a tribal shaman for a group that was moved off of the grasslands by the centaurs?
Sure. I think the grasslands is harder for me to configure as a traditional druid, but I think I'm willing to just like roll with it and figure it out.
All right. What about you, Nick?
I think I'm gonna go scholar, which in general is a student, professor, theologian, or philosopher who devoted themselves to the pursuit of knowledge. I think I was a studying priest.
Yeah.
And now I'm going out and helping in whatever way I can, thanks to the powers granted to me by God. Sorry.
Yeah, I think what we could do too, for you specifically, Nick, but maybe you as well, Danny, depending on how you want to play your paladin, is what we could do is instead of using something that already exists somewhere else, I actually, for another fantasy project I was working on years ago, created a pantheon. So I will just send you guys the pantheon I have made so that we don't have to worry about copyright stuff. But I have a pantheon. I'll get that to you guys, and you could decide what god from that pantheon you serve. And
nice. Is this something we can also share with the listeners?
yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to use it in any sort of text anymore, so now it's just a part of this world.
Cool.
I will share that momentarily. But let's move on to assigning your 4 action points.
Yeah.
So your playbook begins with 3 action dots already placed, depending on your choice of heritage, traits, you may have gained 1 or 2 more as well. And then you're going to place 4 more dots now. And to start with, no action can have more than 2 dots, unless a special ability says otherwise.
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
And you guys are recording everything on your character for like, in your character sheets, right? Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
Except for my name. I forgot to put that in there.
I don't
Steve.
even have one.
Well, that's okay.
That name. Sorry, my player name.
Your
myself.
name. I
Yeah,
understand.
shouldn't be hard to figure that one out for me, but
Cool. Yeah. I've just been
some of
looking
these
at
are
the.
already modified. Like if we took vigilant, we should add that pip for perception, correct?
Correct.
It's not distinct to have +1 to perception versus a pip. Like we just mark the pip. Okay.
Yep.
Do you know where on the book they have like just a quick summary of each action?
I just realized I couldn't have taken vigilant because my perception starts at 2 as a
Oh. Okay.
sorry, vigilant was an elf trait.
Yeah.
You sneaky person.
Okay. Yeah. So just pick a new trait
Yeah,
from.
I'll just pick. I picked long lived. It
Okay.
affects gathered information. We don't have to go back to that.
I'm trying to figure out as a newbie in this system. Of course, we all are, but I have long lived as a trait already to help with the sort of gathering information about things.
Mhm.
And so I'm wondering how useful it would be to also index with more points in lore.
I mean, that's up to you. I think.
I don't believe they technically interact with each other.
Yeah.
They
Also,
might, but not on the base.
Yeah. It's also because of the nature of Blades in the Dark. I don't have anything in terms of like the campaign prepared yet. And so
Mhm.
I can't knowledgeably say to you, yeah, you're going to need a pip and lore as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm just trying to make sure that mechanically that there's nothing obvious where like these two things are redundant. So if I already have long lived,
Sure.
I may as well not get more lore points.
So here's how gather information works now, which is if you ask Johnny a question and it's something your character would know, he's just going to give you that information. If you want more out of it, that's when there might be a roll. That's when there might be a lead that he gives you. Actually, sorry, there wouldn't be a roll. It's either a lead, so like who knows that information, a devil's bargain, so like what it costs you in order to get that information. And I believe what's the last thing? There's one more thing that it could be. A lead, a devil's bargain, or a long-term project. And none of those would be rolling at all.
Mm-hmm.
So you could putting points into lore isn't going to affect your gather information at all. But it might help us narratively think like, how much does this character know? This character knows a lot. He's got a 3 pips in lore.
I see. It sort of mechanically informs that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think
I'm gonna
let your RP drive that. So if you feel like, especially being an advisor, it might make sense for them to have a high amount of lore.
Yeah. I'm going to put 2 pips in lore. I started with 1, so I've got 3 total there. Have I exceeded any limit?
Nope, you can have up to 2 in anything, unless you have a move that tells you that you can have 3.
Did you say
So,
you put 3 somewhere?
I have 3 in
Oh,
lore
oh,
because I started with 1, so I can't add more than 1 right now. Is that
No.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, so 2 in lore then. We'll cap it there.
Sorry, Danny.
I actually changed my mind. I'm not going to take long lived. I'm going to take graceful. That's not
Okay.
because Steve had took it.
Yeah,
the reason.
that's dope. And graceful lets you move fast and quiet even when you have heavy load, right?
6 or less load is marked.
6 or less.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. I forget how that pairs.
Yeah, 6 or less. Cool. It's actually funny because it's not D&D, so it doesn't really matter, and the trope isn't really a thing. But there is that trope that like clerics can't sneak because they wear heavy plate in D&D.
Mhm.
And so
Well,
taking
I
graceful is
put
funny.
two freaking things in stealth. So
Take that.
hey. And also I took 2 in volley.
Nice. Plays a cleric, builds a wizard.
Yeah, a little bit.
The transition is difficult, you know.
Oh yeah, here we go. Danny, did you find the actions? You were looking for the descriptions of actions, right?
I didn't, but I mean, I feel like it's looking at them, I can pretty much.
Well, it's on
Yeah.
page. Let me
Mm-mm.
show the sidebar here. Why will you not show me?
lawyer was over there.
In the I'm looking at a PDF version of the most recent document that Justin shared, and it's page 50 in the PDF. I don't know if you're looking at a PDF version, but if you're looking at a paginated
go.
version of the document, page 50.
Yeah, I found it. Awesome, thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah.
and I've already, I put pips and things.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I didn't pick any moves that give me actions, so it was pretty
Cool.
cut and dry for me.
So, has everybody put 4 pips in their actions?
Yes.
That's
Amazing. All right. So next, you're going to choose a special ability. And so, take a look at the special abilities of the playbook that you chose, and then you just choose one. And if you can't decide one to pick, go with the first one on the list, and it's placed there because it's a good default choice. And then as you pick, why don't you go ahead and let us know what special ability you did choose and read it for the audience.
You know I'm taken down in flames. The first
Love
time
it.
you fail a roll during a session, you do so in such a spectacular manner it counts as a setup action for a party member.
That's awesome.
It's really fun.
It's really Sokka coded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very soccer coded.
At least season 1. Like halfway through season 2, he suddenly becomes very, very competent. But
I went ahead and I took Oathbound, and it reads, when you do the right thing, it costs yourself for the party, mark XP.
nice.
I believe we've changed that a bit, though, haven't we?
Yeah, so XP, basically, instead of marking your XP track, you're going to mark 1 wedge of an XP clock that you can spend.
Yeah, I would look at the updated PDF that
Yeah.
and Google Drive, as well as looking at the actual Google Sheets, character sheets.
I will take Herbalist.
Nice.
And you said we only choose one, right?
Yep.
That is so hard.
Yeah.
Later on, you'll be able to spend XP to get new moves and everything. This is just your starting move.
Okay.
And what does Herbalist do, Steve?
You are able to identify flora and their myriad uses. You can use Survival, which I already have 2 pips in by default, to treat wounds and stabilize the dying. The party adds 1 extra tick when taking the recovery downtime action.
Nice.
I will be taking Sanctuary.
Awesome.
You can push yourself to do one of the following: pull someone from dangerous path, or cease hostilities, if just for a moment.
Sanctuary.
Nice. All right. So next, you're going to choose your contacts. Each playbook has a list of NPCs that your character knows. You guys are familiar with your contacts from from Scum and Villainy and Blades in the Dark in general. Choose one who's a close relationship, a good friend, a lover, a family member, etc. Mark the upward pointing triangle next to their name. Then choose another NPC on the list who is your rival or enemy, and mark the downward pointing one. And you don't need to tell us right now who you're choosing for either. I will, when you guys send me any sort of character backstory stuff, just include that for me as well. But other than that, we can bring that up in play. And then let me know once you guys have that chosen.
I chose both of mine.
Excellent.
We're choosing a positive contact and a negative contact, right?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. So it's interesting because the name very much so like points to otherwise. But for my negative contact, I chose a hopeful squire. I haven't put a name to the thing yet, and for my positive contact, I chose a righteous firebrand.
Nice. I've already got my gears turning on why that squire could be a negative contact and how I can bring that to bear to emotionally devastate you.
I don't think hope's always a good thing. What are you hoping for?
Yeah, for me, I think I'm gonna go. My friend is gonna be a penitent mercenary. Call him Axel.
Nice.
And I was gonna make my rival a wealthy widow because I thought that was funny, and
Yeah.
not just funny, but also interesting. I don't have a name, but
Yeah, we don't need to come up with the name right now. We can work that out later.
I have chosen to have an ancient beast in my favor and a towering tree against me.
Amazing.
I'm already like bending my concept of like druid to like fit grassland and now be anti-tree, and it's really fun.
The list of potential contacts for the druid is genuinely hilarious.
Yeah, I used to know this piece of moss, and told me a lot of good stuff.
Well, it's actually funny too, and would have been fitting with the towering tree, which you could play. I will say, from my perspective, you can have the option to have that be just an actual tree, or have that be one of the tree folk in the forest region. I'll leave that entirely
just a
up to
regular
you.
tree.
Well, like I think about like in D&D, like druids can talk to plants. They can just talk to
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just feel like it's a less meaningful rival unless you dream up GM and tell me more about what normal trees can do. It's just going to be a tree who's really grumpy and always spoke against my opinions.
I think a tree as a rival is a really fun thing. Like, you know, the is it Korra, where or maybe Avatar, the blue people Avatar is a better example. Like, imagine the tree they worship, but it's like a bad. Like,
yeah. Well, I think about too, like in the real world, like forests, their root systems are so intertwined underneath that like it is an observable phenomenon that like signals can be sent from a tree on one side of a forest to a tree on another. And so like it could be a thing where you somehow created a rivalry with an actual just regular tree, and all the tree folk hate you because of your relationship with this tree. That said, I don't want to pigeonhole you into that. It's just a funny concept.
I've got a fun name for him already. I like rot root. It's just like kind of garbles your mouth. It's hard to say, and it makes you angry doing it. Rot root.
Nice. What about you, Justin? What did you choose for your?
I chose my friend as a bound immortal,
Ooh.
and I just think
Whoa.
it's too fun to not have a nascent spell be my rival.
Oh. That's interesting.
I don't know what it means yet, but
Let me just double check on the definition of nascent.
I had
That's
to look
exactly
that
what
up.
I just did.
I had to look that up as well too. It's
Just
coming or
oh.
having recently come into existence. So it's a spell that is growing
Ooh.
in power.
Yeah, I'm thinking, and we can talk more about this offline. But I'm thinking it might be a spell that's like somehow the spell itself is becoming sentient.
Yeah, there's a lot that so I'm also looking at. I was going to say this to the rest of you as well too. Take a look at your items, and look at the zero load ones. Like I specifically have an item called a troubling legend that I don't know if you all have like a more of like a backstory-esque item that costs zero load, but like if you do, I think be thinking about that as you create your character as well too, and like answer that question.
Yeah. Cool. So next we're going to choose a vice. So every hero deals with taxing situations that build up stress and need to recover through vice. So you choose a vice from the list, describe its details, and where in the settlement you partake. So the options are from high level, faith, luxury, and commitment. Sorry, this is wonky here. Pleasure, solitude, and thrills, and oddity. And then once you have a vice selected, let me know what it is and where you partake.
Just trying to find the right place in the book. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure. Are you looking at a PDF version or a paginated version of it?
Looking at our Google Doc.
You can still search the number because the page numbers are still in there. They don't actually.
It's also
Some of
the vices are formatted very weird in the Google Doc.
Sorry,
Yeah.
the format's not
You're good.
perfect.
I'm trying to find the page for you, Steve.
I'm there. I found it.
Okay,
Hooray.
okay.
Thank
What,
you.
wait, what page is it on, Steve?
48, I
In
think.
the Google Doc? Yeah, 48. For now.
Ow.
Well, I'm going to be reformatting stuff and it's going to change all this.
Oh yeah.
Because the default font is terrible. When you bold, it just looks fuzzy. You can't see it. I'm like, why can't I bold things? Anyway.
Really?
Yeah, whatever this font is, it's lovely unless you try to use, other format things. I think I will choose oddity.
Cool.
I think it fits the vibe of my character, the like listening to the wind and other aspects of the land. And I think it would be fun to pull that string, whether it becomes ritual or experimentation or just like a seeking after deeper knowledge in dangerous ways type of a deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I will say for my part, I am comfortable with you having like your vice in general being oddity, without having to drill down too specifically. But I would like you for you to pick one more specific drilled down version of oddity that's your go-to vice.
I see. Trying to think about what it would mean to do prophecy, what it would mean to do rituals.
Well, if you're going down, if you're going to stick with the idea kind of your character having some sort of like history as a shaman or some sort of shamanic role, rituals might look like using something where even though it is specifically oddity, still going into like a drug-fueled stupor to try and commune with something other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I could toy with that. Try to think through like whether it's that or some other alteration of the ritual, but I'll choose ritual.
Cool.
What are those the things you burn the incense in churches?
Like the large ones that you swing on a chain type of a deal. What are they called?
I forgot what they're called too.
Incense something.
I know that there's a special word for this. A censer
That's it.
Yes.
is what we use in like the Orthodox or Catholic Church, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Or a
There's
thurible.
also a word like a thurable.
Yeah, that's the word I like.
Oh,
Thurable.
hey guys, we can buy one for about $1,500.
That's it.
Yeah,
All right, that's cool. Thanks for letting
just
me know.
have one around.
Yeah, why not? Gotta get me my own thurable. Am I saying it right? Thurable.
I think so.
I think it's
That-
ooh. The U makes an ooh.
I was
so
gonna
thurable.
say,
Thurable.
Steve, that pronunciation is thurable.
That's right. Just sounds like an endearing way of pronouncing terrible. Thurable. That's thurable.
That's
This is
horrible.
adorable. Wait, where did you find one for 1,500, Justin? I'm seeing them for like $50.
Yeah,
I was
man.
gonna say the Catholic Church is rich, but I don't know.
Let's see. Where did I see it? It's MatthewFSheenan.com. That sounds
That's
like
weird.
a scam.
You get one for $40 at Catholic Liturgicals.
Matthew, come on, man.
Where I shop. Catholic liturgicals.
It's $64.99.
Or you can get a spiky thurible inspired by the band Ghost for $60 on Etsy.
Fun. Well, patrons, just know that that's what your money is going to.
The
It's
idea,
fun.
the
We're
idea
all
of
gonna
using
buy thurible.
the idea of using a thurible as a weapon will always be one of the coolest things to me.
That actually is kind of dope.
Hmm.
That'd be like not dissimilar. Like I kind of am picturing that like I don't know if you guys have watched Game of Thrones, but when Benjen Stark becomes like a half white and he has that thing with the fire that he like swings around.
I still need to. I've never finished it.
Anyways, what is everybody else's advice?
I'm also picking
Oh.
oddity as well.
Yeah, what's oddity look like for your character, Justin?
Yeah, I think that there is a legend that someone in his family will become a Leviathan. Sorry, someone in her family will become a Leviathan.
Ooh.
And
So-
I think it's like a lot of different prophecies leading up to it. So she communes with this bound immortal to like hear a prophecy and then fulfill it.
Interesting. Nick, were you asking about thuribles for your vice or for?
Oh no, that's just because
Just
that's
curiosity.
what Steve was talking about.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's literally they used to burn like frankincense that makes you trip. Well,
Yeah.
kind of.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, for my advice, I think it's just faith and it's spread. Gotta proselytize.
Proselytization.
I'm really leaning into this. See how it goes.
And Danny?
For vice, I want to do solitude.
I love that
And-
sleep is on that list.
Right? It's less sleep. I mean, sleep probably comes into play, but it's more like
Bed routing.
the way I picture it is this guy is overridden with PTSD of what happened to the royal house that he hailed from, right?
Mm.
And when he is alone, that's when like he hears like the screams of like the royal family or like that's where he gets those memories, and he's committed himself to sitting in that to drive him forward, right? He's like
So he's just kind of like
anti-therapizing himself.
intentionally. Wow, that's. This guy needs some. He needs some milk.
Oh, yeah, look at that one.
Solitude. I'm not even sure what to write for like the specificity of this vice. Like
I know, right? I'm gonna write like
I'm just writing crazy shit.
strengthen PTSD.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be stronger.
Intensify.
Intensify trauma.
Enhance.
Enhance.
Enhance. Oh my god.
Okay. Now, guys, is the time where you're going to choose your name and a brief description of what your character looks like. And then I would love for you to give that to us as well.
All right. So my character's name is Jared of Larkhold.
Nice.
I've decided the name of the old kingdom is. There's no longer Larkhold, but that's what it was called. Under look, I wrote slim for a night, perpetual tiredness, bags under the eyes. If you need a visual representation, think of the dad from Coraline. And yeah.
Cool.
Gotta look that up now. Cool. A little bit gangly.
Sporty. Yeah.
Yeah. It's delightful.
How old about is your character, Danny?
I think I want to say probably like late 40s. He looks older than he actually is. And I think he looks like he could be like in his like late 60s. You know.
Okay.
Your entire kingdom dying ages you a little bit, you know. But I think he's like mid to late 40s.
Cool. All right. Anybody else ready?
Cass Brinebane.
How do you spell Cass? How are you spelling it?
Kass.
Nice. Brian Bain.
She is a like 4-foot halfling, like braided brown hair, tricorn pirate cat. No eye patch, a little too tropey.
No eyes.
But she'll absolutely put one on if she thinks that it'll serve her.
I mean, there are all times when we have to put on eye patches, you know.
For sure, right? Sometimes you gotta put on an eye patch. I really am picturing like very like classic pirate look, like that, like sea blue and like brown leather, like trench coat type thing.
Cool.
The ruffled shirt underneath it.
Real quick before I ask you another question, Danny, are Jared of Larkhold he him pronouns or something else?
He him. Yeah, he him.
Okay, thank you. And then about how old is Cass, Justin?
Oh, average halfling age.
Average.
Average life expectancy of a halfling? The median age of halflings alive?
She's I guess this is a question for us / for me. I'm assuming halflings are a little bit longer lived than humans.
Oh no, I thought it should be shorter. We should convert human years to days.
Half the life for sure.
No, I was gonna say
she's on death's door. Then she's about to die. She's already marked 3 drops.
I will comfortably make the call that we could use. Tolkien created halflings, even though he called them hobbits. Like halflings is just because the Tolkien estate sued Dungeons and Dragons. And hobbits have a almost identical life expectancy to humans.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
They don't wear their age as early as humans.
Yeah, they don't.
Right.
They look younger. She's been around. I think she's probably like 40s.
Wow, so far older party than we've ever
You're right. Yeah.
had.
Well, we're about to get a whole lot older.
Oh yeah, we got two
The
immortals
two
about to
elves.
tell us how old they are.
How old am I allowed to
Actually,
be, Johnny?
how do you guys feel about real quick before we jump into it? Like, how do you feel about saying in this world elves are so long lived so as to appear immortal to humans, and they remain like young, appearing, and healthy for like the duration of their lives, but they aren't truly immortal?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Cool. How do you want to say like maybe like a 1,500 year lifespan? So they
That
still
sounds great.
live like an absurd amount of time compared to people, but
Mhm.
Yeah,
we're not talking about like
it might as well be
8,000-year-old
forever.
elves. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say put me at middle age. Give me 800.
Cool. What's your character's name?
I would like to be called Lyrian.
Can you spell that for us?
Yeah, Lyrian, as in Norway.
I'm going to go ahead and say I feel pretty proud that that's exactly how I spelled it before I asked you how to spell it.
Hell yeah, Johnny. We both read a bunch of cool literature. You understand me. I'm still working on the look. Just give me like a minute.
Okay. Nick, are you ready to jump into your character? We'll see who works on
I
that.
am indeed.
Excellent.
Wait, we're doing the look, right?
Yep, their look.
There,
And I would love their age as well.
yeah. My Pellis is because did I give my character a name?
Nope, not yet.
Yeah, no, Pellis.
you spell
Just
that?
Pellis. Pellus.
Especially
Ellis.
since Steve didn't give a surname either. I like having like a cultural convention here that like elves don't do surnames.
Yeah, my tag was just going to be like of the and then a specific place or a specific group type of a deal. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they have like monikers like that.
Yeah.
You earn them over the years, but it's kind of
Yeah.
unnecessary to have last names when you live for that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he's 25.
Oh,
Oh.
and
You're
he's
sapling, are you?
I
Ryan.
decided that he is not fully elven.
Fun.
It's
okay.
Actually, he was raised by a human woman, his mother. He did not know his father. It's clear that he is part elven. It's not clear how elven his father was or is.
Yeah.
He has light sandy blonde and like wavy hair that's shaved on the sides and kind of comes over the top on one side.
man, I love that as a concept because it's like kind of builds in an idea that like despite how long elves live, he has no idea how long he's going to.
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
no clue. He doesn't know if he'll have a human
Yes.
ish lifetime, if it's somewhere in
Oh.
between, if it's just elf, like he's just gonna live as long as an elf. And I think he probably used to be scared about that, but because he'd have to watch his mother die and whoever's with him, but he became a priest and his mother died before he became a priest anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, that's
Maybe
so
he
sad.
gets up to like 30 or so, but then he stops aging, and he can be satiated by both human and the elf diet.
I'm gonna hurry.
Which is the same diet. He can be satiated by both human and elf blood.
That's one.
That's my one. That's my one.
Does he typically wear like priestly vestments?
Yeah, he's pretty consistently like wearing his like clerical robes. When he isn't, it's pretty simple clothing. He's not wearing anything super fancy.
Cool.
Yeah, very Spartan even.
Yeah, let me get you that that document before much more time passes with the gods that I created.
I don't know how compatible this is with your gods, but I do think his robes would look very similar to like shrine priest robes. Thinking like Japan style, kind of like larger, with the maybe not the whole hat thing, but sort of like a larger sort of baggy, like sort of crossed shirt, and then like the pants that sort of flare out.
Yeah, cool. Come on, where is this? Here we go. Okay, let me share. I'll just share this with all four of you.
Go.
And sorry for the quiet. Steve, have you finished coming up with what your character looks
I
like?
should have been vamping. That's kind of on us.
Yeah, I know. We're all like thinking so deeply. Sorry, y'all. Yeah. So I would love for Lyrian to be she, her for pronouns.
Awesome.
I think tall and lean is a good way to go. I think skin, like the color of like essentially the grasslands, like the color of grain, like a sort of sun-baked color, and golden eyes as well. And if you would allow it, Johnny, I would like to suggest that, like, maybe I have room to play on this, but like some aspect that is obvious to others seeing her. I would love for Lyrian to have like something distinctive about her appearance that suggests experimentation as far as the rituals, like something unnatural. Like it could be that like her face has that sort of like patches of skin that are like cracked like dry earth type of a deal. Like she looks like she's made out of dry earth.
I like that. There's also the option, I don't know, like there was a thing I read, an article I read one time about they discovered writings about shamanic practice that happened in Europe in antiquity, that any bodies that they'd ever found were too far decomposed for them to have known this before they found these writings. But then they found writings that talked about how these shamans would use this like this drug to try and see their god, and they would inhale this. They would like basically light a fire, and by inhaling the smoke that would get them high, and then they would see their god. And then in order to make sure that they saw their god clearly, they wanted to increase the amount of the smoke that they could inhale, so they would cut their noses off.
Oh,
I don't know how grotesque you want to get with like.
Oh, I dig it.
Symbols
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that,
I was gonna say like I picture Lyrian as like I think she has like sharp angular features, and I think that like that's somehow enhanced by the look of like just being noseless, like just slits.
Yeah.
Where the nose was cut off, so like a bit of scar tissue there as well.
Yeah, cool. Also, I shared 2 documents with you guys. I shared the document that is just the gods and like information about them. I shared a second document, which was like a creation myth I wrote for the like kind of explain some of the relationship between the gods that I think is still fun to use. Anyways, and maybe, yeah, like you said, Justin, I'll make a shareable version of that document. These ones I don't want to put out to the public, but I'll make a version that we can put out to the public. That people can check it out as well. Cool. What is next? We got our name and our look. Yeah, I think that's kind of like the last thing. Last step is for character creations, reviewing our details. Take a look at the details on your sheet, especially experience triggers for your playbook. And then, you begin with access to all of the items on your sheet. Don't worry about picking specific things. And then, so yeah, as you guys look at kind of review your character sheet, is there anything that you feel like I missed this or you need clarified before we get into the settlement?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool.
Makes sense to me.
Perfect. All right. So we've made the world around our settlement. We've made our characters. And so next we are going to create the settlement that we live in itself. Let me get to the right page here. Again, if you're looking at a paginated version, should be page 84 that you're looking at for this to start. And step 1, so we're going to name our settlement.
Milwaukee.
No.
I love it.
So we're gonna name this will inform tone and setting, and I don't want Milwaukee to inform the tone or setting, and so
Fine, Chicago.
Nope.
No, that's no.
Nobody. Nope.
You want to talk
one of
like
the-
this?
one of the notes that they make in the book here that I think is worth reading is that there's a lot of difference between being the heroes of Wolfheim as opposed to the party from Swinefield, and so think about that. There is also like a table that we can roll on if you guys want to choose the name randomly rather than trying to come up with a name.
Honestly, I'm kind of fine with a roll.
Yeah.
I don't have anything in my head, so
Yeah, let's do it then. Let me pull up the table in the older version of the document because the table got all kind of wonky here.
sorry.
Hey.
Okay. So why don't we do this? Steve, I'm gonna have you roll 1d6 to represent our row. Danny, I'm gonna have you
Okay.
roll 1d6 to represent our column. And that's how we'll pick our name.
2.
2.
2 and 2. Dale. I don't think that's gonna work.
I'll reroll.
Wait,
whatever
wouldn't
roll.
Didn't you pick a prefix first and then roll?
It would be.
Yeah, you're right.
It'd be
I was just
duck.
looking at the wrong page.
Dale. Town.
I don't like.
We-
Duck, I don't like
Duck as our
Ducktail
prefix.
either. I don't like.
Welcome to
Ducktail either.
No. So it's duck is the prefix then if they both rolled 2. Which we
Duckdale?
could stick with or we could change it. No, it's not Duckdale because Nick and Justin will roll with Justin rolling for.
I mean, maybe we just make it Duckburg.
Well, let's see what happens.
Let's
It's
see
not
what
Berg
happens.
is
So, yeah, Nick, you roll for our row. Danny or Justin, sorry, you roll for our column.
Okie
Where are these?
I
What'd you roll,
rolled a
Nick?
6.
The column is 5.
Oh,
Ducklia.
Ducklia? I don't.
I don't like it.
Wait,
Let's
no.
try.
wouldn't that be
like-
Duck Don?
I'm not gonna lie. I
Oh.
don't really like duck as the prefix.
I don't like
Yeah, me
duck,
either.
man. Wait, what page
Okay.
are these
I
on?
feel like if we get rid of duck, we'll be in a better direction here.
Of almost
98 and-
all of the prefixes, they're good with me, except for duck.
Yeah.
Even goat.
Okay,
Fucking goat.
let's-
I'm not a big fan.
Let's redo it then. Steve and Danny, please roll.
Roll better this time.
Fine. I accept my reroll. 4.
All right, Danny.
5.
All right, hail is our prefix.
I like that. That's already
All right.
much better. Thanks.
Nick and Justin, let's get re-roll from you guys as well.
Okay.
Wait, sorry. What was the prefix?
Hail.
Hail.
That sounds like.
What'd you roll, Nick?
Sorry, it landed standing up. 2.
I
Two?
rolled 4. Hail top.
Hilltop.
Hilltop.
I don't hate that. It's fine.
I don't hate it either.
At least it's not Hailvale, am I right?
It's not duck.
I accept
like
Hilltop.
And it's
Or
not,
Haledale. Haledale would
and
have
it's
been.
not Ducklia.
Duckly.
I know. What the
Counter.
heck?
We don't- we
can
don't-
also
I
just
am
do whatever
fucking
we
weird.
want. Could it be Drake Top?
Drake top.
I hate
You
it.
want to name it after him?
Oh, I just got
That was a joke. That was
lightheaded.
a joke.
Oh
Guys,
no, I
don't
just got
get
lightheaded.
it. Don't
Of
get it.
all
He's already-
people.
Another condone or support.
I
God.
like tabletop. I like telling what the dice tell us to do.
Okay.
No,
Oh.
not when it says duck,
Until we
duck or
change
whatever.
what the dice tell us.
Except when
Undertop
Ducklia.
would have been great.
Ducklia's
Well,
just
it
a bad
sucks.
name for a city. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you're
Bottom
right.
top bottom.
No, Hilltop even like just with like I can think of like etymological reasons why a settlement would be named Hilltop and things like
Yeah,
that.
of
So it makes
course.
sense. It fits.
Yeah.
Hey, if you just want to look up some dumb names, just go to like the any sort of tiny town, not even a tiny town, just anywhere in England. They got dumb names.
They do.
They're like
Yeah,
Hilltop,
that's true.
Top is like
Toppity
the
tail.
etymological
Eventually, we do need to
translation.
find a town called Duck.
If you Nick,
If Nick had
you
rolled a
find-
6, it would have been Undertop.
That's what I was thinking of. That.
I don't even. That's fine too. I kind of like that also.
Yeah.
Nick, if you find a city in England named Ducklia, we will
Oh, okay. Well,
go back and
Just
change
Google
I don't
Maps.
think I'm gonna try that. I'm just saying.
that.
Oh wait a minute. Wait, there's like a community.
I'm
of,
already
like-
getting attached, guys. I think let's accept Hailtop. It's
Yeah.
appropriately
Let's stick with
generic
Hilltop.
and not hateable.
Yes, agreed.
Okay.
We all know
So,
we're gonna die in
um,
session 1 anyway, so let's move on.
So for your party was recently formed and established in this settlement. You had an adventure or two, and some people have heard of you. And Ducklington.
There is a town
sorry.
named. I did Google it. There's a town named Ducklington.
So your party's had a couple adventures. People have started to hear of you, and your party starts at tier 0, and you're gonna have 2 coins in your collected savings. So if somebody wants to record that, please do. It's not much, but that means you don't have much to lose. So get out there and start creating your legend. So we're gonna choose your initial reputation. Consider the heroes you've made and what deeds and mischief they might have gotten into already. Your reputation is both how you present yourself and what others think of you. Choose one from the list below or create your own. The list below, you could choose from bloodthirsty, honorable, subtle, calamitous, impulsive, strange, daring, professional, or vexing. You could also choose your own, create your own.
Because Cass and Lyrian are in our party, I'm like strange could work definitely.
Yeah, strange is what I was kind of moving towards as well too.
A weird bunch, are we already?
Here's a crazy idea. We should do professional.
No. God, no.
The professionals. I love it.
What do you think, Nick? What input do you have for rep?
What would it mean to be strange? I guess is
I mean, that's up to us. I think
It's probably just a word that gets said about us, or it describes
Yeah.
the words that get said about us.
So
Mm.
I mean, do bear in mind. I think that Nick presents an important question because you earn XP when you bolster your party's reputation.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Mm,
what does it look like to bolster a strange reputation?
to be strange. Yeah.
get freaking weird, everybody. More rituals for
I mean,
me.
No, it's a good question, and I think it's something that we needed to drill down on more when we played Scum and Villainy, which is like specifically what is it about being professional? But like, why are we strange? I think we do have like a almost like a hermit elder, and I don't know if Cass is explicitly strange.
She keeps her.
Is there a
strangeness
better
to the L.
reputation than strange for you guys?
I think so.
Sure.
I think there might be
We can also
as a group.
think
yeah.
of one as a group. Just like say, I
Sure,
feel like this
yeah.
word describes what we do.
Well, how honorable are we feeling? You know, is there anything that you're just already like glazing right past? Like that's off the table? You know?
I mean, Jared.
calamitous.
Yeah.
I was
Calamitous?
thinking calamitous too.
Because
Yeah.
we're 4
spell casting and or magical fighters or adventurers.
I don't,
just
know,
feel
I don't
like
know if Jared's gonna be magical at all.
you're a paladin.
Yeah.
And we spell trouble, sort of.
Your main ability is smite.
Or just
I mean, I guess it
chaotic.
doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's not necessarily chaotic so much as it is just that there's a high chance of like crossfire.
We just leave a lot of destruction in our wake.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to live up to
Sure, that's fun.
and gain XP on. Especially if
will
any
be
of us are
popular.
interested in pursuing, greater ability to bend the world to our will.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's fun. This is not in an attempt to get you to choose any type of reputation in either direction, but one thing that there is an element of this in the game, as well as just how I am as a GM. Your decisions are going to affect the world in the way that so if every time somebody calls you to help with a problem, you go in and you destroy everything, even if you do end up solving the problem, it's going to affect the types of things that people come to you for and things like that. And so,
no, it's true, and that's I still like it. I don't think that should. I personally think that's
I just feel curious about it now. Yeah, see what happens.
Excellent.
Danny, feeling good?
Good.
Cool. So next we're going to look at your base of operations. So at the start of the game, your party won't have much influence or resources in the town. You'll need to prove yourself. But before you can do that, you'll need a base of operations. So you'll choose one of the following bases and then be sure to note their special abilities, which you gain, but are all unique and cannot be gained elsewhere. So the options are, I'll read the options, then I'll tell you guys what each thing does. There's the tavern, shrine, hideout, shop, guild hall, and manor. In the tavern, you gain the special ability carouse. So right after an adventure, you may spend 1 coin and a downtime activity to party with everyone, allowing the whole party to present to indulge their vice. If anyone overindulges, a fight breaks out and everyone gains 1 stress after the vice roll. The shrine, you gain providence. At the start of the quest, place an extra point in the advantage clock. This occurs after the GM affects that tamper with the pool, such as cruel. Hideout, you gain secret tunnel. You have hidden ways of getting around. You choose 1 region. You gain +1d to engagement rolls in that region for the rest of the campaign. You could choose the shop, which gives you well tailored. The amount of load it takes to be moved from discreet to conspicuous and to be encumbered is increased by 1. So your max load remains 9. At the guild hall, you gain specialty. Choose an action. Every member of the party gains 1 point in that action. This can increase the action passed to during character creation. Or you can have the manor and choose benefit. Or if you choose the manor, you get benefactor. When you advance your tier, you only need half the required upgrades you normally would.
I am immediately drawn to shrine, especially with the
I was
cleric
looking at shrine as well.
and the paladin and the druid. I feel like shrine, and that we have a cruel metagaming too from the top table, having a cruel overlord. I like having shrine as a little buff against that. That being said, as well too, we might have to play around with carouse because
Carouse.
Because as of right now, everyone gets to indulge in their vice regardless. So carouse doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, it's true.
But if we're just looking at shrine already,
Yeah,
I like shrine a lot. That's
what does everybody else think?
I support it.
Yeah, I don't. I'm. I can't see the name now because everything keeps jumping in the document.
I did just change the font of our entire document to something.
It's on page.
I don't know.
Names of them are on page 103 now.
That's why I downloaded it as a PDF, so that kind of thing wouldn't happen to me.
That's what I did as well too.
That's fair. Yeah, I liked the shrine a lot. Obviously, it makes things a little easier for me. Not
I
easier.
feel like we have lots of narrative reasons for our characters to sort of have the benefit of providence, like some degree of
all of our
insight.
characters, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Make sure you guys mark that.
I did.
Excellent. All right, and now you're going to choose a contact. Your party has a contact that you are all on good terms with. They might be associated with your base or simply someone who has taken a shine to your party. So they can be a grizzled mentor, a sanguine scion, a savvy broker, a fearless urchin, or an educated executioner. Or I think you could pick something else too. I'm not saying, I don't think, even though the book doesn't say this, I don't think it has to be one of those.
Out of the listed, I feel like Sanguine Scion kind of makes sense with what we've chosen, but obviously we can.
So like a noble, almost.
Mm-hmm.
What does Scion mean?
Someone in like a line.
Yeah. Like the scion
Like
of
a
a noble
descendant of
house.
a
just
noble
like
An
family.
important line.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is there someone standing in line for cookies? Scion?
Yeah.
Sanguine
Sanguine.
has something to do
Yeah.
with blood.
Blood, so like somebody who's a part of a line of important people that have been passed down through the generations.
Sanguine just
Sanguine
means like
scion. Yeah, it just means
optimistic.
Yeah.
it has both to do with blood and optimism. So you could read it either way.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
Could be
I like Sanguine Scion. I like Fearless Urchin as well too.
Hmm.
What do you like about Fearless Urchin? I'm trying to like picture the world around them, and I'm like, is this a contact that we want to be connected to?
So an urchin is just like a street urchin, right?
Yeah, street
Yeah.
urchin, but like
Fearless in the sense that they're able to get us information.
get us into places, get us out of. Yeah, it just seems like having that would be like. I feel like that'd just be a fun contact to have.
Yeah.
Like
All
an
right.
urchin. It's just
Makes me
fearless.
I like
curious,
the idea
Johnny.
of the shrine being a new one that my character like Pellis opened
I love that.
in
Ooh.
like the not so nice part of the settlement.
Sure. Oh, I like that a lot. I love that a lot.
And that would
and then
connect
so-
us to some urchins.
Yeah.
All right. Fearless Urchin.
That's pretty fun. Do you have a
Cool.
name for this? Fearless Urchin.
Tommy. No, don't listen to me.
Tommy, but it's spelled THOMBY.
Didn't like any of
How
that.
about like a name like Flicker?
Oh,
Or,
like street
you know,
name?
Yeah, just like something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who even knows what this person's birth name is?
Yeah,
Type
yeah,
of
yeah.
a deal.
I like
Nani
it.
Babu. Which is the name of a real
These are
urchin.
my
I know.
buddies Zip, Scamp, Weasel, and Whisk. You know? It's like,
Kind of like Zip.
you like Zip? How about Zip?
Zip's kind of fun.
Zip.
Zip it is.
All right, Zip. We need Zip.
Is Zip a boy or a girl?
Feels like it should be another cousin for Gears and Slice.
I think
Yeah,
girl
right.
would be good.
I think girl makes sense.
Okay. About how old is it?
3.
3 years old? Okay. Very useful contact.
Yeah. but their heritage is like sort of the opposite of an elf, so they're like an adult.
Roll for changing diaper.
Like a goblin. Yeah, I was gonna say, as the father of a 3 and a 4-year-old, I can tell you with confidence that a 3-year-old contact would be absolutely useless to you.
But they're fearless, Johnny. They're fearless.
I mean, I'm
That's
picturing
true.
like
Maybe 10,
early
11.
true.
teens. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say 14.
Okay. I'm gonna split the difference between the numbers everybody gave me, and they're gonna be 12.
Nice. Perfect.
I just want to throw out there, urchin doesn't necessarily mean young. It just means
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's also true. But I just asked how old, and everybody
And-
but you said.
yeah. I know.
80-year-old. An 80.
700.
80-year-old.
elf.
I do really like the idea
As
of
useless
all of
as a
us.
3-year-old.
Fearless. Fearless, Johnny. Fearless Urchin.
I do like the idea of all these like the adults in this party like are like trusted contact being this like child who knows the streets better than any of us, right?
Yeah.
That's
A 25-year-old, two 40-year-olds, and an 800-year-old, and their best friend is this 12-year-old girl.
It all makes sense.
Oh,
Okay. Now the party gets to place their first connection from their base to an adjacent location. They will gain another contact from that location. This will most likely be the first NPC the player creates in the game, but they don't require any more detail to start other than their contacts, other than the contact's name, descriptor, and vocation. The initial connections can be made to the library, barracks, broker, or fortune teller, and perhaps they hired you for a previous adventure. And if the party wishes, they can spend their initial 2 coin to immediately gain the upgrade of this location. This can be a gamble as you start with a new ability, but will also be flat broke. If you do take the upgrade, then describe how you spent your time and money helping the NPC and strengthened your bond.
I mean, fortune teller seems really fun.
Why? Because I feel like we already feel like we have like some in-house fortune tellers in our party.
yeah, we might not want to go to a fortune teller. I agree with Steve.
Did you have something there that you wanted to expand on, Nick?
Well, I mean, like fortune telling doesn't necessarily have to be like at odds with the god that I'm necessarily worshiping, or that Jared is worshiping.
I'm trying to. So there's 2 levels, right? Like I'm trying to not just look at the abilities.
Right, not just metagame, all the most
Right.
practical
Right.
stuff.
Sorry. Well, I wasn't at all. I just like the
yours
idea
is, yeah.
Oh, the
the
fortune teller. Okay.
fortune teller being like, "Hey, go check this out. That's cool." And you're like, "Okay." and I don't know.
I kind of like the library for an almost
I was looking at
similar
library
sense
as well.
because I do feel like we all have a lot of very ambiguous fortune telling in our party already. So the ability to like have a connection to a place where we can research those fortunes, those prophecies,
Yeah.
might
That
be,
had some good fictional overlap as well.
yeah.
So the library?
Just given a scan. Alchemist,
yeah.
barracks, hospital,
library.
artisan.
Why do you guys keep saying that we have like the ability to see the future?
Not specifically or definitively, but it's kind of like there's a flavor already of like my person like
yeah.
freaking listens to the wind and uses rituals to intuit things to like give advice to
Yeah.
the circle of
I mean-
voices is what I'm calling it in my head.
I
Well,
get a
I
bunch
say
of-
that sorry because I could have picked seeking a sign where I can literally ask my god a question.
Yeah.
And I did not take that, right? So like,
Yeah.
and you guys have similar abilities that you also didn't take. So
Yeah.
we don't actually have those.
I was gonna say, like, despite the flavor of your party, from a metagaming perspective,
Mhm.
the library is actually probably the place that fits what you're saying, where like your party has more access to what the library would give you without the library.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Versus the
Yeah,
fortune
because
teller.
I mean, like Steve already gets like a +1D to gathering information.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
Sure.
And like, yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe the flavor kind of goes both ways, but
So
the fact
here's
that the
yeah,
mechanics definitely are like already in support of us already being able to gather information. I feel like
yeah.
makes more sense to it, but whatever. I can still
It
do
might
the
be
library.
worth
I don't.
thinking. It might be worth seriously considering the barracks or the broker,
Yeah,
where
maybe
you
the
guys
broker then.
where it fills a gap rather than
gap.
touching
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that you already
I-
have.
I think then my vote is for the broker because I'm also just trying to think of a reason why I would go to a fortune teller as
fair.
opposed to the bound immortal that already gives me prophecies.
But yeah, I mean,
That's
Yeah, makes sense. You got them
But
in a
I could-
Pokeball. Just
but I
summon
could-
them.
But I could see us all going to a broker to be like, hey, we need this item. Hey, we need.
We need this person. Yeah.
Yeah.
1+ die to acquire assets. Sounds good to me.
It
Cool.
changed a little bit. But yeah.
Is everyone in agreement for the broker then? All right, we need a name and a description and a decision about whether or not. So right now you are connected to the broker, but you do not get that benefit yet, unless you spend the 2 coin to get the broker's benefit.
Hmm.
Do we just want to be in there, or what do you guys think?
I kind of like the risk.
I say go big or go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just blow the funds on.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, no money,
All right. We've upgraded the location. How do
No
we
money.
do that?
no problems.
I did it already. You just there's. 'cause
I
it's a
mean,
check box.
fictionally.
Oh, fictionally. So yeah,
Yeah. Well,
fictionally. Let's find out. First of all, what's the broker's name?
Yeah. Random names come into my head. Cadmere.
Yep.
I like it.
Does that feel right? I don't know why that came
Yeah,
into my head.
That because it was right. That's because it was correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of stuff on the broker. I'm gonna take a little bit of the reins here. I'm gonna say the
Okay.
broker is a 300-year-old dwarf.
Mhm.
Nice.
they do have suggestions for potential contacts. They have a pawn shop proprietor, a guard on the take, a purveyor of gossip.
But also, Johnny can do whatever.
But Johnny can do whatever he wants.
Well, I do want input on that part, like because 300-year-old dwarf doesn't tell you his occupation really. We know he's a
Yeah.
broker, but like what's he a broker of?
I like that they own a pawn shop. That seems fun. Seems like there's a lot of like random stuff that we could run into. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
who knows what's passed through his pawn shop and who knows what he's selling to us sort of vibe.
Classic.
Items of questionable provenance.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Excellent. Okay. And then a little descriptor. So he, like I said, he's a 300-year-old dwarf. He's got a big beard and a big head of hair that is both always unruly. And like you are all fairly certain that you've never seen his eyes.
Whoa.
Like his hair is always in the way.
Just
He's
so
a
much
dwarf,
hair
so it's
going
kind
on.
of just like all hair on the front.
Yeah. That's adorable. Cadmere. I love you already.
But I think he's also, I mean, he's a not just a connection. He's a friend. He likes you all. He's kind to you. You've never felt like he's trying to take advantage of you when you go into his shop, even if you do have to question the provenance of the things that he has.
Yeah.
Which we don't, out of respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, never question Cadmere. Not to his face, at least. All right. And next, you're going to choose an adversary. So there will always be those who find you in opposition to their ideals. Your adversary is one of the leaders of the settlement whose goals or methods do not mesh with your own. Perhaps you got on their bad side during an adventure, or you actively speak out against their actions in the community. It's even possible the party starts off unaware of their adversary's animosity. Look through the options and discuss who seems the most interesting foil to your group. And I'll read these.
No,
Nick?
sorry. Never mind. You just-
Oh, no, go ahead.
I didn't have a question. I just I wanted to answer, but I'll let you read through them first.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the options we have the sage who controls the tower. They're representative of the educated and industrious voices of the Electrum district. Said that weird. While their intellect can create wondrous new solutions and opportunities for your community, their lust for power can also leave people in harm's way. There's the commander who controls the citadel, representative of the power and established voices of the Gold Quarter. While they will protect the people of the town and defend it to the last, they ultimately serve at the behest of the rich and noble. There's the elder who controls the temple. They're a representative of the communal and traditional voices of the Silver Ward, speaks for the faith of the people and supports them. They're also rigid and stuck in their ways. And then there's the crime lord who controls the den. They're the representative of the criminal and dissenting voices of the Copper Row. And they speak for those who are left behind and willing to damage the community in order to see their own gain. And then I will say too, when you pick when you choose an adversary, you will also cross off their building on the settlement map, and you will never be able to gain the bonus that they offer. Their distrust will also raise the support cost for buildings in that district by 1.
That's good. It's a costly adversary then.
Yeah, I think so. I like the flavor of either the elder or the commander.
Mhm.
I'd be okay with Sage. I kind of really don't want to do Crime Lord because we kind of played with the inverse of that already. But I like the idea of the elder specifically because there is my as yet unnamed rival is a wealthy widow, and I was kind of thinking that she would be like sort of a very positive member of the community, very like very philanthropist, very active in like the council or whatever governing body, generally seen as like a positive force, but she just always just hated Pellis, and he does not know why, and he can't get anyone to believe him that she hates her.
Based on your
But he-
description
he's
of
tough.
your rival there, though, I will say, just from a narrative standpoint, or like a whatever, narrative is the best word.
Yeah.
The commander might be a better fit than the elder.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah,
I do.
she would be an elf.
There is something I like about the elder, though, of like, I'm picturing them really stuck in like a very conservative understanding of faith, which might be at odds with whatever you're talking about. And I think there is something fun to play with in that.
I said my character didn't know why she didn't like him, so it's not something as obvious as that. I know why. So I don't know. It could be fun to have an adversary like that. It doesn't have to be my rival either. It could
it could be a
another
separate
character.
person. Yeah,
it could just that could explain why they sent us to build a shrine in
the Copper District. Yeah, in the Copper District.
That
Yeah.
which makes sense. So
Very nice.
an elder like that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I will say, for whatever it's worth, just so you know, even though it only creates more work for myself, I will create separate. Like, I'm in the background. I'll give you guys the information because you'll have it once I create it. But I'm gonna create NPCs that are the district leaders that I'll share information about with you guys. But they will be separate from all of your friends and adversaries. So they're all gonna be completely separate NPCs from each other.
Gotcha.
They might be connected, but they won't be the same person.
Sure. I like the elder the most. I feel like we have a very faith forward party.
Let's do it.
All right. Sounds like there's consensus. So I've crossed off the temple, and you guys will never get that special ability. And the elder is your adversary.
I probably trained.
Yes.
Cool. All right, let me take a look here. Make sure there's nothing else that we need to do.
We don't get a special ability at the start.
What do you mean?
For our
There's
party.
like the party special abilities. I was trying to find it in the PDF and I didn't see anything. I don't think we do, but I just want to make sure.
I don't believe so. I mean, I just took you through the PDF of
Okay.
the everything creation, so and didn't say anything about a
Okay.
special ability. I mean, you guys do actually get one to start because of the broker. Because you spent that gold, but
And you get one for your base as well too. But I wasn't sure if you also
your
got
base.
a party special ability. But it's
Yeah,
all based
no,
on
nothing
on the
else.
map. Cool.
Cool. All right. What is it?
Do a party name?
Yeah, do you guys want to name your party? Do you want to come up with a name later?
I think we need a little more to go on.
I think I like the idea of coming up with a name later.
Yeah.
Just call us TBD. Tier 0.
TBD, is that what you said?
Yeah. To be decided.
Yeah, that makes sense. For some reason, my brain just was like, in my head, I thought it should be TDB, but that doesn't make any sense. To decide
To
it
decide
be.
it be.
To decide it to be.
To die,
Be
brother.
or not to be
To
decided.
brother.
To decide or not to decide.
That is the question.
TDLD.
All right. So, I mean, here's the question. Do we want to jump into a little bit of RP? I don't necessarily have anything ready in terms of like anything we could do for an actual
Yeah.
like
Did you feel satisfied with the section where like we described how we spent our time and money helping Cadmere?
no, we have not explored that yet. So we do need to
Okay.
explore that.
That could be a way to start moving the direction of fiction, some past fiction, if you like.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
I'm also totally fine.
Yeah, I'm fine to jump in, even if we jump
Or-
into just chatting.
Oh,
and-
I was gonna say end to here. And
Oh, okay,
'cause I know
cool.
I feel like I need to think more about this character and its place in this.
That's fair.
Think fast.
Or you even-
I try to murder
Yeah.
Cass.
Oh, great! I dodged. What do I roll?
Well,
Just
it's a
messing.
threat to you, so
Yeah.
No, let's talk through what you guys did for Cadmere, and then we'll end it.
sounds good. All right.
I want to say that one of his sent hands for acquiring things to sell was running into trouble along one of the routes into the grasslands. And that we caught wind of it and thought maybe this would be an advantageous friend to have. And so we offered to deal with some of the bandits.
So you think you
Along
guys
the road.
offered to help him? He didn't come to you for assistance.
I think that makes more sense. I see us more in the position, especially from, I don't know, from just not knowing much what we established in previous history. I see us being more of in a position of like catching, information, trying to act on it proactively, not necessarily being trusted or beloved by the community yet.
Well, I think we could even say that we were in a position of like we were like there. It was already a temple here, but it's like completely run down and abandoned. And we are here like for whatever reason, you guys are helping me try to fix it, and so we're like looking for stuff to replace and stuff that was probably sold, and so we were already talking to
Yeah.
him as
And
a pawn dealer in the area.
And I'm sure we found stuff in the ruins of this shrine as well too that were like, hey, can you sell this?
Yeah, we don't need this. This is not actually of religious
Yeah.
importance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way to start the relationship. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have looked at the document at all yet, but do you have any idea of which of the gods you worship? And do you worship the same god or different ones?
Oh, as Cadmere?
No, as each other in terms of like the temple. Who is this temple or shrine for?
Mm.
I think it's for whoever Nick's cleric is.
Mhm.
I don't
Right,
know that
so-
I don't know that he would. I don't think he would exclusively be like, yeah, it's just this guy. Like he'd probably be like, no, we can have.
Yeah, it's
within
not
the
uncommon to
shrine.
find shrines that
Shrines with
are to multiple gods. But I guess my question is like, why does Palace care about this shrine specifically, and why do the rest of you care about helping Palace fix up this shrine?
Mm.
Yeah, that's partly why I'm like don't want to jump in because I'm still thinking through why I'm there specifically. I don't think Cass. I mean I feel like every sailor in these types of things has a god that they worship.
Mhm.
I don't know if Cass is the religious sort that would care about creating a shrine for that god.
I feel like for Jared, it'd be less about the god that he worships and more about the god that the royal house that he came from worshipped. And the shrine is sort of like symbolizes
Family.
Yeah, right. Like
Vin
some sort
Diesel.
of symbolizes him trying to like rectify what he has lost. You know.
Yeah.
Is Jared played by Vin Diesel?
Oh god,
And it's Jared, right? Not Jared.
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 Indeed.
Jared.
Do you have a leaning towards a god or goddess, Nick?
I just opened up the file.
Beautiful.
I don't know what any of them are.
Because depending on which you choose, it may be more obvious
have-
to me the connection I see between the shrine and some other cause or good that I'm aligned with, you know?
Do you have a domain that you would want your god to be involved with? Because then I can help you find the right one.
God of lost trinkets.
God of...
I mean, if you really want a god of lost trinkets, I can tell you which one would have that be part of their
The
purview.
god of allergens. No, I just
I think Dystall.
Yeah,
I think
the Traveler.
Dystall really appeals to me. Yeah, the Traveler.
God
That's
of
my favorite
time.
one too. Yeah. So
I
for
was,
the
I was
audience,
be
literally
careful
just
about-
saying that was the coolest one.
It's very cool.
yeah. So
We might have to refer to him specifically as Dystall, the Traveler. For
yeah, in the lore that I was building when I made this sheet, Dystall was that his name had been forgotten by humanity, and so people only called him the Traveler.
It's fun.
Shall
But
we?
he's
Shall we
Is that
forget?
yeah.
I
Let's
love
do
it.
it.
Yeah, I like the Traveler, or
Yeah.
you know, and like another moniker might be like the coming one, or the one who's
Yeah.
coming.
For the audience, his domain is the passage of time, love, lust, journeys and voyages, coin, revelry, joy, pain, laughter, forgiveness, roads and passageways. And he's the patron of merchants, journeymen, travelers, couples, marriage, and the wealthy.
Perfect.
That's fun.
He also technically would be, in some ways, because I didn't finish filling this out, so now I have a reason to finish filling some of this stuff out. But he is the god that you would like do rites to when someone dies, so that they travel safely to the afterlife as well.
That's really important. Yeah, I think that really works. I think Pellis is very, very, very faithful
Cool.
to the Traveler.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, so they're working on the shrine to the Traveler, and they end up in the process of buying items for the shrine. They find out that that Cadmir is having trouble with.
There's
one of
also
his
probably
emissaries,
some
right?
amount of like, hey, you're a business. The Traveler is your patron. Would you like to give to the church? Just a full like Pella's just 100% like, hey, this makes sense. You want
Patron of merchants.
Yeah.
You're in the Copper District, buddy.
Yeah.
If Cass worships any of the gods, it's probably Caerdwell, because she's the goddess of pirates.
That's yep. She almost certainly does.
I would like then to say that Lyrian finds it promising that Pellis wants to build this shrine, because perhaps I've seen the influence of shrines devoted to the Traveler in other places have a positive effect, kind of helping orient the community towards a much longer span than their typical like life.
Yeah. Actually, for whatever it's worth, Steve, too, Lyrian would probably worship Caerdwell as well if they engage with the Pantheon, because Caerdwell is the goddess of storms and the wind by extension. The other option will be Theane, but they are the goddess of forests, and you hate trees.
I do hate trees. Freaking hate trees. I love this so much. I'm going to be a druid who hates trees.
We're gonna have to dig into that.
Yes, we are. We are
I
going to.
hate trees.
Uncover.
I'm gonna have fun with that. Yeah, I mean, like I've wondered about secrets, Leon or Luon. As far as like there's kind of a play because enough of these domains are very broad abstractions.
Yeah.
Goddess of Light could work, but as far as the flavor of things, I don't mind having the same god as a pirate.
Yeah, Firen's probably the other one that would make the most sense, depending on how Lyrian kind of handles herself. Like that's another thing that if you read the creation document, Firen and Leon are both nobody worships one without the other with those two.
Oh, okay. Huh.
But
I think I like the complexity of that, so I'm going to take the Goddess of Light and the Goddess of Darkness, Firen and Leon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let us all worship different gods and yet find we have much in common.
They are also the twin sister wives of the god of knowledge.
Ooh.
I mean, as long as everybody's related,
Which they are.
They are literally all siblings.
Yep. But
Classic Pantheon stuff.
Classic.
not for nothing, but whenever you guys get a chance to read that creation document, I would love your thoughts on it because I had fun writing
I
it.
already love it.
I've not read it, but I'm sure it's amazing.
But cool. I mean, I think we don't need to belabor things. Why don't we go ahead and say we'll end the session here, and we'll be ready in 2 weeks to revisit things and actually really get into it.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
Beauteous.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
Well, friends, that was fun. I love creating worlds. I love
I'm
creating
so
characters.
excited.
It's very cool. I really love the vibe a lot. Just remember, don't go to the wetlands. And
Don't go to the wet.
Our
We'll
first
see
ever
you.
wetlands.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
1/4 of this world is completely going to be untouched by us.
Bye.
Buddy.
Bye.